Hello guys, how you doing? My name is Robert Mitten. As you can see, I'm part of the C1 team. C1 is gonna be number one. I had a Class B CDL license for about 4 years. I just upgraded to a Class A. When it comes to experience, I have about 6 months experience. I found this company by a good friend of mine named Andy. He also helped my cousin get in named Ricardo. And we have a friend of mine named Twan. He's here with us. It's a great company to work for. It's a growing company. Also, my supervisor, Danny, he's the best. He's a real good guy, man. Hey, Danny. With all the other drivers, everybody here, we all get along. We work together as a team. That's pretty much it, guys. Just, if you're interested, apply. It's a great company to work for. The staff is perfect. C1 is gonna be number one.
We have always focused on providing great tasting meals that are meant to be.
La gente en cuanto llegue, pues tenga su comida lista. No más es calentar.
From all of us at Del Real Foods, thank you for letting us be a part of your table.
Known for an innovative and client-centric approach, Aldridge is a sought-after team member for complex mission-critical substations. Widely recognized as one of the leading electrical infrastructure trade partners in the country, our unique approach energizes clients' projects through technology and innovation, proven execution, and lifecycle efficiencies to provide cost and schedule certainty. With more than 1,500 employees, 2,000 pieces of specialty equipment, and decades of knowledge of working on power systems across the country, our full scope expertise results in the unique ability to self-perform each scope of work. Aldridge can enter any substation project at any phase and perform with confidence. The Aldridge team produces quality results on even the most challenging projects. The services and benefits we can provide allow us to execute seamlessly. Inside or outside the substation fence, Aldridge is your partner.
Hi guys, this is Alan from C1 Transportation. I have good news. We are hiring over-the-road drivers with 2 or more years of experience. Our drivers make $100,000 to $120,000 a year driving 3 to 4 weeks at a time. Don't miss your chance to start driving with C1 Transportation and call our recruiter right now.
Hello guys, how you doing? My name is Robert Mitten. As you can see, I'm part of the C1 team. C1 is gonna be number 1. I had a Class B CDL license for about 4 years. I just upgraded to a Class A. When it comes to experience, I have about 6 months experience. I found this company by a good friend of mine named Andy. He also helped my cousin get in named Ricardo. And we have a friend of mine named Twan. He's here with us. It's a great company to work for. It's a growing company. Also, my supervisor, Danny, he's the best. He's a real good guy, man. Hey, Danny. With all the other drivers, everybody here, we all get along. We work together as a team. That's pretty much it, guys. Just, if you're interested, apply. It's a great company to work for. The staff is perfect. C1 is gonna be number 1.
We have always focused on providing great tasting meals that are meant to be shared without sacrificing value and quality. Our proudest moment
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. SBS offers live telecasts on Channel 59.3, YouTube, or Twitch. We include pre- and post-game interviews with the players.
You know, I started in the locker room. All the boys were getting going before the game and stuff, and we kind of found a little click at the beginning of the game, so I think that's what got us going.
We also include digital live statistics, play-by-play commentary, team highlight reels, and even more than that. Go online to sportsbroadcastsolutions.com or search Sports Broadcast Solutions on YouTube. SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. At SBS, we offer a professional broadcasting experience for the non-professional athlete. Just like the pros, we offer everything for you. Play-by-play commentary.
A no-hitter at Kane County Stadium. 15 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 error, and that's it.
Color commentary, highlight reels, recruiting videos, and much, much more. Unlike our competitors, we zoom in on the action and always have a live scoreboard with a live time code. If you're ready to have your next sporting event feel like CBS Sports, then make sure to call Sports Broadcast Solutions today. Our phone number is 330-957-7653, or you can go online to sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Missing your child's sporting event just plain stinks. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, thanks to Sports Broadcast Solutions. SBS is a live broadcasting network, as well as covering your on-demand needs, recruiting videos, highlight reels, and much, much more. We can broadcast live to any website, and we also post as much on-demand content as you need. For more information about SBS, check out our website at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Sports Broadcast Solutions, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. Let SBS broadcast your sporting event. We have experience and can generate excitement and permanent digital memories for your team.
Tonight. That time, finally a goal for the Stampede!
We have professional videographers using high-definition modern-day cameras, color analysts, and play-by-play announcers with state-of-the-art, classy graphical scoreboards to keep you updated. Plus, we have commercials to advertise your team, club, or sponsor, and us. Plus, we do pregame and postgame interviews.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the postgame show brought to you by Marion Central Catholic. My name's Kyle Smith, but my name doesn't matter. These young ladies matter. It's senior night as the Hurricanes win a battle down the stretch, 48-46.
Hi, I'm Carrie Kramer. I swim 50 breast, 50 free, and 100 back.
Whatever your sports broadcast needs, we are at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital sporting world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. Instead of spending hundreds or thousands with all these college recruiting sites, let us put together your college highlight reel. For just a fraction of your potential college scholarship and significantly less than these recruiting services, we got this. In addition, we put together highlight reels for teams, including high school, your club team, or travel team.
My teammate gave me a great pass, and I just took it. The other team slashed me, took the opportunity, saw where the goalie was weak, and I just shot it there.
Solon, O'Connor, and Marsh back on defense, and Marsh gets a blowout. We got a breakaway at 2-0. A shot, and a goal! So 3-3, the power play was officially over.
Whatever your sports broadcast needs, check us out at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. For those of you who would like to broadcast or live stream your event, or maybe make a highlight tape but would like a sponsor to fund the event, SBS has a myriad of ways to advertise your sponsor during our broadcasts. We have commercials. We have on-air reads by the announcers.
Albatross Physical Therapy and Wellness specializes in pain-free.
We have graphics, and we have watermarks. Finally, Sports Broadcast Solutions can create a commercial for you or your sponsor. Whatever your... We also have a dedicated channel on YouTube for live streaming at SBS Livestream. And if you need multiple channels, we can utilize Facebook Livestream and Instagram Live on our channel as well. Opcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. We broadcast sporting events, pro and college ranks. Whatever your sports broadcast needs, contact us at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com and become part of the digital world. This is Sports Broadcast Solutions, a broadcasting network for everyone. Check us out at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com and become part of the digital sporting world.
Hello guys, how you doing? My name is Robert Mitten. As you can see, I'm part of the C1 team.
Where's my phone? Where the hell is my phone? I hate getting rosters half an hour before. It's so fucking irritating.
So one more time, we're doing a scissors, and then a quick double tap. And accelerating away at pace. So one more time, we're doing a scissors, and then a quick double tap. And accelerating away at pace.
We have always focused on providing great tasting meals that are meant to be shared without sacrificing value and quality. Our proudest moments were when we'd gather everyone around and share my abuela's tamales alongside family, friends, and coworkers.
Todo esté práctico y rápido para que la gente en cuanto llegue pues tenga su comida lista. Nomás es calentar.
From all of us at Del Real Foods, thank you for letting us be a part of your table. We have always focused on providing great tasting meals that are meant to be shared without sacrificing value and quality. Our proudest moments were when we'd gather everyone around and share my abuela's tamales alongside family, friends, and coworkers.
Todo esté práctico y rápido para que la gente en cuanto llegue pues tenga su comida lista. Nomás es calentar.
From all of us at Del Real Foods, thank you for letting us be a part of your table.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another production of SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone. I'm Kyle Smith alongside my partner and good friend, Bob Ilsaway. And Bob, it's winner go home. Winner advances to the quarterfinals. Loser, they get orange slices and juice boxes, but that's it.
They probably won't get that. They'll probably get a beer and a taco afterwards. But you know what? We're missing the taco truck tonight. Last time we were here, they had awesome tacos at the end of the game. But this is going to be an exciting game. Detroit in the final 16, Chicago in the final 16. It seems like Chicago Nation is on a mission this year. A couple of years back, they did a great job in this tournament, right? But here they are again, and they just feel like they're a little bit stronger than before with more resolve and the experience. But Detroit, they got here, they earned it the hard way as well. So we expect this to be a fantastic match.
Yeah, they came back in that game in the round of 32, and they won in extra time, 4-3. A very unusual soccer score, but they got it done. Meanwhile, Chicago Nation, they have not lost yet, partner, knock on wood. And they haven't lost at this pitch either. The only time they tied, though, was at this pitch. They're actually better on the road than they are at home.
Right, and you were saying last time they played, Detroit won in the...
Dominated them 3-0.
Right. When, of course, the facility was different. You had pointed out it was
right, it was indoor because hard to play soccer in the middle of Michigan in the middle of November, but it was an indoor game. You think that's on the minds of these Chicago Nation players as they try to avenge that loss today?
Oh, you bet. And, of course, if they have video to watch, they're looking at it. What they want to know exactly what those players are going to do and what they can do. But this is outdoor, warm weather. My phone says it was 73 degrees. The sun is really bright, and it still feels like a very, very warm 73 degrees. So the players are going to get sweaty really quick. But something I've noticed about Chicago Nation as we've been covering them for the these last X number of games is as the season wore on and as they get used to each other, their percentage of pass completions has just been going up dramatically, even against the better players. At the beginning of the year, it felt like turnovers, and it didn't matter. It was earlier in the year, maybe the teams weren't as strong. But as the year went on, Chicago Nation plays it the right way. They connect on their passes. They do send the ball, but they're connecting on their shorter passes, much higher percentage of the time. We'll see if Detroit has as much care on the passes to prevent turnovers.
Well, this is the second time they played in the last year. Last time, it was in the round of 16. Here we go again. Could Chicago Nation continue their undefeated season? Regardless, we have to have a winner today, partner. It will go to penalty kicks if we're still tied after extra time.
Yeah, I'm not going to assume penalty kicks yet, but both teams are not going to want it to go to that point. Both teams feel that they're strong enough to win somehow during regulation. But the thing about soccer, and probably more than any other sport, is that first goal matters more than any other. Whoever scores first, you can continue to press. And of course, that means what you've been doing is working. And if you have a goal scored upon you, then you have to probably change something. And it's really tough when a team gets a goal lead, especially if it's a later goal. The winning team can go into kind of a defensive shell. And when a team with 11 good players, including the goalie, wants to play defense, it's hard to score on you.
Well, we will take a break. National Anthem coming up next here on SBS, the broadcasting network for everyone. You can get pretty tight, Kyle. And here we go, the starting lineups brought to you by SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone. For Chicago, pretty much what we expected, Bob. Devin Eggai between the pipes, Sutton, Lebovich, Rzuski, Kowalski, the defenders. At midfield, Alvarez, Klabjan, Butler, and the forwards, Capitanos, Bradley, and Shevchenko. And Bob, I want to ask you this question. No Dizdarevich until the quarterfinals. They didn't have him last week either. They struggled in the first half. They did not score in that first half. They scored 3 in the second half. Does it matter not having Dizdarevich, one of the best scorers in the entire Midwest Central Division?
Boy, isn't that a softball question? Yeah, you better believe it. This guy's great, and they have to replace him. But Chicago Nation is a very, very deep team. So although they don't have him, it's not like he's their only goal scorer. But absolutely, it's going to be easier for Detroit to mark Chicago Nation without one of their best players for this game. It's very good news for Chicago Nation that he will come back for the quarterfinals, though. So if they win this, I'll say Sweet 16 match and get to the quarterfinals, the final 8, then they'll have him back, and it's only going to help Chicago Nation when he comes back, unless he comes back at whatever 75 or 80%.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if he comes back, is he even at full strength? And how can you utilize him? Can he even start if he's at 75 or 80%?
Well, and that's the question. He may come in, let's say, for the second half. So just because he's available doesn't necessarily mean he's full strength and available for the whole game. And it could be he gets on the ankle or whatever, and finds out, no, coach, I really can't do this. But Chicago Nation is deep, so it's going to affect them, and it could affect them a lot. It's going to matter.
Well, partner, I'd love to see Chicago Nation advance to the quarterfinals. I'm going to pick Chicago Nation 2, Detroit United 1, but I'm not confident at the way Detroit United dominated them the last time they played.
That's not fair. You read my mind. That was going to be my prediction. Chicago Nation 2, Detroit 1. So now I have to pick an over and under from that. I think we're just going to both have to say we got the same prediction going forward. That's a good choice. It's a good score. And I'll tell you what, I'll be a little bit different. I'll say Chicago Nation wins 1-0. That means Detroit doesn't score.
It's a tall task for Chicago today. No Dizdarevich and no Adrian Graffin, who's been one of their better goal scorers, especially without Dizdarevich in the lineup. Now they don't have 2 players, but the good news is they have Zaha Shevchenko, 14 goals, one of the better goal scorers in the entire United Premier Soccer League.
Well, one of the things about Chicago Nation that I like, and I can't speak as much for Detroit because we see Chicago Nation more, is there are a lot of good athletes, and they've certain just play positions. Sutton is a perfect example. He plays defense, right? But he pushes up to the midfield and even scores goals. So just because you are a defender, just because you are the goal scorer, doesn't mean you can't do more.
Right now, deep inside Chicago's territory, Detroit in the green, Chicago in the blue, tapped over to the far touchline. Sent out in front, header, and right into the breadbasket of Peru Devin Eggai. Devin Eggai wearing the black, the opposing goalkeeper wearing the gray.
I've always wondered, we've seen Peru in lighter, like neon type of jerseys, so it's real easy for an offensive player to see him. But here he's wearing black, and he's in the end zone where it says Chaparrals. Of course, we're at College DePage, Chaparrals, and that's black. So the offensive player might have to shoot at a goalie if they don't exactly see out of the corner of their eye.
45-minute halves, Bob. We have 3 to 4 minutes of extra time. In a playoff game, the officials are going to try their best to avoid PKs.
Well, I'm on record. I don't think the officials try to do anything other than call what they see in front of them, right? So they don't really, as much as you feel like referees and officials have control of the game and they can control, who wins, that's in the NBA. Here, they just call what happens.
Right. I'm saying we might see 100 minutes of soccer today to try to avoid the PKs. Remember in that FIFA World Cup, we saw, 116 minutes of soccer before we finally had to go to the PKs of the World Cup final.
Yeah, I think the referees there had stopwatches, though, and there was an awful lot of play stoppage and injuries and those kinds of things, so that's what they felt like they needed to do. I don't think they were trying to do that to avoid a tie. It's just, that's what the game dictated.
Over to Alvarez, Butler behind him, and then they switch positions. Now the trailer is Alvarez.
Now here's what I like. They're holding the ball. They're not being pressed too much, but they're making passes that connect. Like I said, they're making passes that connect. Oops.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a tall task for Chicago. It's probably the best team they've seen. That includes Vizloka, the only team to tie Chicago this season. And that was on this pitch, partner. Lead pass, trying to find Palusha. Sorry, that's Jet Rushy. That shot wide.
I like that. He got a foot and a little bit of an edge and took a shot at the net. The net's pretty big. The goalie, although he covers a lot of the net, there's always open space to kick it into.
He missed the net, but not by a lot, and he had a lot of pace on the ball. So that was a good. I don't like it when you kick the ball and miss the net when it's a bad shot, but that was a good ball to kick and miss the net on. So right now you have to say, well, Detroit's got one quality shot and Chicago Nation hasn't got one yet. Detroit has been doing a good job pressing without, how do I say it? They're pressing, but it's like a three-quarter court press kind of a thing. Chicago decided to handle it this time by sending it all the way downfield and hoping to be able to control the ball, which they did.
Past midfield, stolen by Detroit. Hard to miss those Detroit uniforms, the neon green and the black numbers.
Right, and that's a couple of steals Detroit have made. The Chicago Nation more recently uncharacteristically coughs up the ball. Today they've coughed it up twice.
They're wearing the all-black shorts. It's a very unique uniform, the Detroit United team. Help comes on defense by Chicago. Tap back. As Detroit trying to get the win to go to the quarterfinals. Watch out for Leonardo Abanizio, one of their better players on this roster. 35 yards away from the goal. And stolen away by Chicago. Lead pass to Capitanos. But he's double teamed on the play, trying to clear is Detroit, and then tapped out of bounds. A throw-in awarded for Chicago.
Yeah, it was touched by Capitanos on the way out. Very clever defensive play by Detroit. At least it grazed Capitano on the way out. They get the throw-in in their own zone. But Capitanos is one of the faster forwards, and Detroit had two guys ready and waiting on that send.
Throw-in coming up. Played by Detroit, stolen away by Sutton.
Great anticipation by Sutton, I might add. Now here's where he's a defender, but he's in the front third here.
Tap back over to midfield.
I like this. I like that some players let the ball run for them. They switch sides.
Then over to the sideline. Detroit trying to steal. Rzuski plays it. Now played by Lebovic. Good kick that time to Klapjan. He was trying to feed it. Trying to feed it that time to 15. And now back over to the touchline. Out in front to his left foot. Shot, not much on it. Loose ball. Goal! Chicago scores, Bob.
Absolutely misplayed by the goalie. He thought he had it, bounced right off his chest, and it was an easy rebound into the net. That's a huge misplay for Detroit. Now Detroit's going to end up spending the rest of the game trying to make up for that.
What a goal that was. They get all the momentum early on in the game, but a huge mistake by the goalkeeper, Parter. That's one you gotta have. Not much on that shot. It wasn't even a hard shot. It was a three-hopper into the breadbasket, and he just missed it.
That's exactly right. It should have been covered up. He thought he was going to cover it up. The ball rebounded out, and that's why you always assume there will be a rebound, and you kick it in. Kind of reminded me more of a hockey shot where you just hit it at the goalie low, let it hit the pads, it'll bounce out, get the rebound. That's what that actually looked like. I thought for sure the goalie had that.
Well, it looked like he just missed it. He wanted to get more on it, more velocity on the shot.
Well, what a time to let a bad goal go through. There's a trip from behind. There'll be a free kick from there. But yeah, that's going to be a long chase now for Detroit to get that goal back, let alone two.
And if any team needed it, I think Chicago needed to score first more than Detroit. Like I said, this was a Detroit team that absolutely annihilated them earlier in the fall. And
well, I don't know if 3-0 is annihilation.
If you watch the highlights, though, it was all Detroit all the time.
Well, they certainly are good, and now down by a goal, they're going to be pressing more than they have been, but we'll see. They were pressing for the first part of the first half already.
Huge goal, though, especially without one of your stars in Dizarevich. You get an early lead.
Yeah, and of course, that makes my prediction right on. Nobody can score the rest of the game, and then I can say my prediction was correct. Remember, it's all about me.
Bradley credited with the goal. He's a late addition because no Graffin in the lineup today. Well, that's a way to earn your starting spot. Graffin might lose his job, Bob. It was also an easy goal, though. It doesn't get much easier than a rebound that goes right onto your foot.
Well, there's something to be in the right place at the right time, though. Yeah, I mean, anticipation is huge. That's the thing about soccer. Only one guy gets to hold on to the ball. Everybody else has to anticipate where to go next. That was fantastic anticipation to get that rebound and kick it in. And just saying, not that it was a hard kick to make, but he kicked it in. Some people, they get that opportunity. You see videos all the time. The ball goes over the net to the side. Miss kicks it. All kinds of stuff happens. No, not this time.
Well, if Chicago Nation wins, they'll play here one last time on the 22nd. If they win that one, if SBS broadcasts, it would have to be on the road for the semifinals in Virginia.
You have to get our plane tickets.
We could drive it. I've driven to Virginia before. You almost sensed it, though, partner. Detroit was late getting here. They didn't have a big warm-up. As of 6 o'clock, they only had 8 players warming up. Does that get to you a little bit if you're a player where the game's at 6:30 and not the entire lineup's warming up yet?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like it shouldn't bother you, but I've been around sports enough, coaching, et cetera, that it does bother the players. You feel like, why should that bother you? But it does. And we don't know. I wasn't paying attention necessarily to the Detroit warm-up. Maybe, just maybe, the Detroit goalie didn't get enough warm-up plays.
Right.
And it could be that he just wasn't
ready for that shot.
Right.
Good lead pass. Left-footed boot, too much on it. Capitano's trying to run on top of it. And we're waiting for the call. No Detroit player going after it, so it might very well be a throw-in awarded for Chicago.
Well, when you said there was too much on it, too, Capitanos is a speed merchant over on the left side, so that's who they were going for. And if he didn't have too much on it, it would have been a real argument for the ball. But as it was, Chicago gets the corner kick out of this and another opportunity. So with a 1-0 lead and a corner kick, it's looking good for Chicago.
Alvarez will take it. I always worry about that. Why it took so long for these players to warm up as that header is headed towards the middle. You need time to warm up. Stretch, calisthenics, shots on goal. And I'm kind of surprised that Detroit wasn't really ready to go until 6:15.
Well, I'm wondering, they had to drive here, right? And so when you're talking about traffic around Lake Michigan on a Saturday, I mean, maybe that's what happened.
Didn't want to pay for the hotel last night?
Well, I don't know.
That's the right call. Chicago doesn't like it, Bob, but that's the right call.
In the meantime, Detroit has a mortally injured player on the ground after that.
It's not a smart play either by Capitanos. It was a 50-50 ball, and he went at the legs.
Well,
you're not good.
I don't think it was intentional. You're going
right.
For the
I'm
ball.
just saying, it's just an unnecessary slide tackle.
And trying to hustle, make a hustle play, and the player's legs just happen to get in the way. And if you get a free kick against you, like what's happening here, I mean, the ref didn't give Capitanos a yellow.
No, but it's just not a necessary slide tackle there.
Yeah, so I think the referee judged it was absolutely unintentional, and the consequence, unfortunately, is the Detroit player has to shake off the cobwebs. But the free kick doesn't hurt you in this location on the field either.
Right, but why would you want to give the ball back when they had it deep in their own territory and they're up a goal?
Well, that's the risk reward you take as a player. You kind of decide, okay, up here, it's worth the risk that you might get the player, but if you get the ball first, you got possession of the ball right near the goalie. What you can't do is if you're a defender, and the defenders are at a distinct disadvantage in that spot, you do a slide tackle a couple of feet over, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got a penalty kick against you.
If you're Detroit, are you a little rattled a bit? You beat this team 3-0. Now you're down 1-0 early.
Well, rattled, I don't think I would use that word. I mean, these are excellent players, but yeah, down 1-0 is not where they wanted to be, and they're going to have to work harder to get it back. I fully expect that they'll press a little bit harder, more. So, the Chicago Nation is not out of the woods yet, but like we said earlier, the first goal in this game is going to be just huge, and Chicago Nation struck first.
If Michael Sana gives up another goal, it's a playoff game. Would you go to the bench, put in the backup goalkeeper?
No, I'm going to go with the goalkeeper that got you here, even though it was a bad goal initially, even if he gives up another one. And, it's even though that goal happened, there's culpability on the defense as well.
Right, but still, it wasn't a hard shot. You got to have it. Mistakes are going to happen, though. I always think of that 71 Stanley Cup final. The Hawks were up 2-0, and then the slap shot just barely passed the midway line.
Did you say 1971?
Yeah. Do you remember it? The Hawks were up 2-0.
I was 12 years old. I was probably listening to it on a transistor radio underneath my pillow, so my parents didn't know I was listening to it.
You didn't watch it on NBC?
No, I would have been in bed by then.
I think it was a Sunday afternoon game.
Oh, well, then I probably saw it.
Anyways, the Hawks were up 2-0, and it was either Maurice Richard or another Canadiens player. Just barely past the midway line, and Esposito missed it. And the Canadiens scored twice more and won 3-2. And that was Game 7, and the Hawks blew it, and they did not win another Stanley Cup until 2010.
Until a whole new regime.
And there were a lot of Hawks fans that were not happy with Tony after that game. But mistakes happen with every goalkeeper.
Here's another send on the right side this time.
But if you ever have time, Bob, take a look at that play. You always wonder, how did Tony miss that one?
Well, sometimes goals happen. I mean, nobody is perfect, even at the professional level.
And then you could always ask goalies like Tim Howard, Tim, how'd you make that save? And he'll say, oh, yeah, I did this, and I worked on this in practice. But sometimes even the goalies don't know how they made that save. Sometimes it's just luck.
Well, last week, the Goshen goalie made some just standing on the head type saves, just amazingly in the way of some really good Chicago Nation shots. By rights, that score should have been a lot higher.
I almost thought Goshen was going to win because after Graffin just barely missed the net right before halftime, I'm like, I don't know how many more shots Chicago can take. I thought Goshen might sneak by with a 1-0 win, and Dafonseca would be man of the match. But, of course, Chicago scored 3 in the second half. They look pretty good today. Up 1-0. Little tap kick. Sutton gets hit in the head with it. Both players going after the ball.
They'll call that just simply a... Well, the referee isn't indicating anything yet. I think Chicago Nation's going to get a free kick there with a high, dangerous, accidental kick. While Sutton was going for it with his head, Detroit was going for it with a foot. And head versus foot, we know who wins that battle all the time.
Yeah, you just don't expect a header that close to the sideline like that. So...
Well, that's how Sutton was going to control the ball, right? He was hitting it down with his head to get it back to his feet.
I'm just saying, like, how did the foot hit his head? Well, if I was a Detroit player there, you just don't expect a header that close to the sideline.
Yeah, he didn't expect Sutton to go down with his head. Probably expected Sutton to get there with his chest or something. But, you know, both teams are hustling and both want to win, and stuff happens. No malice behind the play. Meanwhile, Chicago Nation gets the ball up in the front third again.
Lead pass out in front to Butler. Chance for Chicago. Great job by Detroit. It's still out in front. Butler kicks it back. Butler looking for a call. It would have been a big call if they called a free kick there. He was trying to kick it forward that time to Rosowski.
I like what Chicago Nation did, though. They had the ball, and Detroit had a lot of traffic. They first almost got the step. They didn't pull the trigger because they didn't have a step, but they didn't have a place to pass it forward to get a better shot, so they passed it backward to kind of try to regroup. And anyway, Detroit hit it out of bounds, and Chicago still has the ball. Again, I like the Chicago Nation did not give a turnover up on that play.
Out to the sideline. And it'll be a throw-in awarded for Chicago. If there's anything wrong with the stream, let us know.
Yeah, it's not the same throw-in. It's not a replay. It was just the ball went out of bounds, same place.
Should be a handball, no call. Shot blocked. And that's big, partner, because you would have had a free kick and you would have had a chance to send the ball down 40 yards.
Well, this is very encouraging for Chicago Nation. And again, I like what they did. They felt the pressure. They couldn't get the ball in. So rather than lose the ball or take a bad shot or make a bad cross, put the ball all the way back to their goalie and continue to hold on to the ball. And this is the way Chicago Nation has been playing last few games. And this is why they are so tough to beat.
Okay, you're a ref. Let's say you call the handball there on Chicago.
Well, let me start by, you saw it, I didn't, so I wouldn't have called anything.
Well, you should have seen it. You're looking right at the field.
That's what I like about the YouTube replays. You can see if indeed there was a handball there, and I did not see it.
Now, the problem is if you're the ref, everything close to a handball you have to call, correct?
No,
going forward?
I think you have to be absolutely certain the hand is on the ball before you make a call. Referees need to see it and make the call. They cannot anticipate. They cannot guess.
Right, but I'm saying you have to be consistent. So anything close going forward, close to that play that you called a handball, should theoretically be also called a handball later on in the match.
Well, clearly you want to be consistent whichever direction you go, but like I said, I didn't see a handball there, so that's why there was no call.
Right.
And then, if he sees another handball, you can be sure this referee will call it. The referees, what I've noticed over our time here with Chicago Nation, have been absolutely terrific, very fair, and not too quick with yellow cards, certainly not with red cards, and they will rather talk to the players about stuff when they get hot under the collar and try to calm them down that way rather than just pass out yellow cards. So the refereeing has been terrific here.
Well, nobody has beaten Chicago here at COD Stadium, so there might be some opposing teams that don't like the officials very much. If calls had gone our way, we would have beaten Chicago Nation.
Well, that's how I feel when I'm coaching volleyball. We don't lose. The refs beat us, right?
Right. It's never the player's fault. It's always the refs or the parents' fault.
Right. And Angel Hernandez's fault if it's baseball.
Well, I'm very impressed by what I've seen from Chicago Nation. They have kept the ball clean from shots at Devon Egg High. Really, besides the early couple of minutes of the match, Detroit United has had all kinds of problems getting the ball past midfield.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Chicago Nation is playing terrific on defense.
Lead pass, Lebovic reads it, trying to steal. Here comes Detroit. On his right foot, Lebovic from behind. Detroit doesn't like it. Could have gone either way, Bob, but I think it was clean.
Well, you got the ball first. If you get the ball first, you have no argument. Now, their Chicago Nation just fell. I feel like that was an embellishment. But nonetheless, they get a free kick in midfield now. But, yeah, Chicago Nation unfortunately got beat on that play and then was able to somehow get from behind, get the ball first. But if there was a problem there, it was outside the goal box, so it would not have been a penalty kick, but it would have been a very tight free kick.
All you ask for as players and fans, consistency. We have an injury on the far side.
That was the tackle from behind.
Detroit doesn't like it, and you could almost understand why Detroit is not happy. Did he get ball first, Bob? I think so, you think so. But all that matters is what the ref thinks. He thinks ball first, and we have to move on. But Detroit's like, okay, you don't call that one, but anything close to that you can't call either. Got to be consistent, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm not on record to say the referees here are inconsistent.
Right, I'm just saying that's what the players are arguing. If you don't want to call the foul there, fine, but anything close to that you can't call either. You sometimes make the analogy to the strike zone. That's not a strike on this pitch. Well, it can't be a strike if it's exactly thrown there on the next pitch. Stolen away by Detroit. Here comes United. Oh. No look pass. Good idea. He was trying to feed it to Lopez. He just wasn't ready for it.
It's never a good idea to do a no look pass and have it intercepted, though.
Right, right. But his trailer was there. Just the trailer, for some reason, wasn't ready for it.
It went the other way, right.
Out to the left side. Left-footed boot out in front. Reading it well is Chicago. That's Rzuski. He sends it out. Throw-in coming up. If this goes to PKs, Bob, is it advantage Chicago or advantage Detroit?
Yeah, with these two teams, this would be one of those. You go to Las Vegas, and that's what they call a pick'em. So it's 50% either way. There's no advantage to either team. I mean, you might argue Chicago Nation has one of the best goalies in the nation, so maybe they get a slight edge. But I don't know how much a great goalie can stop penalty kicks any better than an average goal. It's all up to the player and the location on the kicks. Missing Dizdarevich won't help.
They still have Shidchenko. Alex Bradley is the only one that scored in this match. As that lead kick out to the right, Sutton went after it, as did Adriano Jaretrushi.
And I like that they had another soccer ball right there by the net. In the meantime, nobody's bothering to chase the one that did get kicked, even though we've got 3 kids behind the net under the College of DuPage sign over there. One of them has to go get that ball.
Out to the sideline. After it is Clavjan.
Did a great job to knock that ball down while he was harassed and the ball was in the air.
Look at that kick by Butler.
One-timer to the other side. Shades of Messi on that kick.
Shidchenko, the product from Governor State, out in front. What a pass that was by Shidchenko. Deflected, and it will be a goal kick for Sana.
No, it's a corner.
They're going to say it was off Detroit.
Right. Got kind of a break, trying to pass it back to his own teammate, right? But Detroit got in the way and just bounced funny. I mean, Detroit would like to have that. Well, maybe they wouldn't want to have that back because you don't want to give Chicago the ball where it was going to go either.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, so now you have to survive this corner kick. So Chicago again with the lead, 1-0, and the corner kick, and more time is gone.
And if you're Detroit, try to clear it away from in front of the net.
Well, of course, and then, counter if you can. These are great opportunities for corner kicks to score, but it's also great opportunities for counter moves like this.
Yeah.
Nation did a great job to slow that down.
If you're Chicago, look at that pass. Is he still onside?
They called it out of bounds.
Wow, that was a nice pass. But if you're Chicago, you're up 1-0. When do you start playing conservative? The 50th, the 60th, or the 70th minute?
Well, you've got a game plan, right? So you want to stay with that game plan. Clearly it's working. You've got the lead 1-0. So I would think you don't really ever have to change that game plan, even later, because sometimes what happens, and you see it in football too, teams go into the prevent defense, and that's when the other teams score. So I think when you're in the lead 1-0 and you have a game plan and the game plan is working, you stay with it. Now maybe perhaps we bring back one of the 3 forwards to midfield a little bit more often, maybe one of the 3 midfielders back to defense to help out, put 5 men on that back line occasionally, but I think you still continue to maintain your game plan with a 1-0 lead. Now, if it gets to be that, last couple of minutes, maybe you want to bring the forwards back or maybe a substitution for a defender.
So analytically speaking, Chicago wants Detroit United to be on the sidelines, but to do that in actual sense, do you clog up the middle and force Detroit United to the sidelines to not give up goals?
Well, that's always, you always want to keep the other team on the sidelines. You never want them in the middle of the field.
Would you want to do that in the 70th minute? You got to do whatever you can to win today and avoid the PKs.
Yeah, you want to keep the ball on the side for the whole 90 minutes plus extra time. You never want to let the other team run wild with the ball in the middle of the field. You always steer it to the edges.
So would you see that from Chicago in the 70th, 80th minute, clog the middle and give Detroit the sidelines?
I think they just stay with their game plan with a 1-0 lead.
Trying to set it out in front, and Sana takes it. If you're just joining us, Sana gave up a garbage goal, and that's where we stand right now. But give the credit to Bradley. Right place at the right time.
And with a very national soccer player sounding name.
1-0 Bob. Well, if Detroit had won, Michael would have gotten a free sauna, but not so much anymore.
A free sauna?
Yeah.
Huh? Why?
Because if they had won, you always give your goalkeeper a free sauna, right?
Oh.
A free hot tub.
I didn't know about that. See, again, Chicago Nation, don't pass it forward. Nobody was open. Pass it back. Keep maintaining the ball. Looked like a tackle from behind.
Yeah.
They'll get a free kick there.
Yeah, ill-advised slide tackle, but that's if you're going to commit a slide tackle, between the 40s is where you want to do it.
Yeah, it's midfield. It doesn't cause too much damage in the grand scheme of things, although it's the middle of the field that we were talking about. You want to keep it out of the midfield if you can, but nonetheless, you do need to stay aggressive, and he thought he could maybe tip it away from the player and get a steal. Chicago, has had so much control of this game. Again, if you were to put a chess clock on this, Chicago Nation is winning.
Is the pressure more on Devin Eghai or Sana?
That's a great question, right? With a 1-0 lead, is there more pressure on you or a 1-0 lead the other way? I'd absolutely say Sana because he's
struggled a little bit.
Kind of a bad goal, you would say.
And if you give another one, that would probably do in Detroit United.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that one goal is not enough here, but here's a break.
Great move. Inside the 20, look at that lead pass. Beautiful play by Sutton, getting a piece of the pass intended for Lopez.
Yeah, and the slide tackle in the box. You really got to be careful. You got to get the ball and not a player. And he did that. Spoiled the play, but now Detroit has a chance.
Oh, no. I'm not too sure why Devin Eghai touched that. It looked like the ball was going to go wide all the way.
Yeah, but I think it was deflected by Nation on defense.
Anyways, okay.
Yeah, so I think he was just, there's no harm in it.
All right, I thought it was a clean shot.
Yeah, well, again, that's why I like the YouTube replays. Just play it back and see. I can't tell you when we go home how many times I play back plays when we're doing this, and I want to see what actually happened after 10 times replaying it over and over.
Andres Gomez will take the corner. Limited opportunities for Detroit today. They've just been pretty much shut down since early on in the match.
Yeah, but here they are down the goal with a corner kick, so it happens quick.
Out in front, header, and it was actually headed by Chicago. Sutton after it.
Sutton knew it, and that's why he hustled his tail off to get that ball. He'd rather have possession than give up a throw-in, but better a throw-in than the corner.
Yeah.
Detroit loaded the box with 7 players, too. They're looking for that goal.
Christian Margalage on the throw-in. Capitanos wisely just kicks it straight up. Great hang time on that kick.
There's an interesting kick.
Oh my goodness!
Whew. Very interesting kick. A high pop-up on goal. If Devin Egghai is too far up, that could go over his head. It's easy to misjudge if you let it bounce.
Was that a great kick or a mistake by Devin Egghai?
I think he misjudged it. I think he should have probably tried to catch that on the fly and just didn't expect it. And if you try to catch it on the fly and miss it and you're in the middle of the bounce, it goes in the net. Yikes. So he backed up to the goalie line and just made sure he could jump to the top of the crossbar to make sure it couldn't go in. Yeah, again, very, very, once he can't catch it on the fly, he made a good defensive play.
Nicholas Lula on the kick. And Detroit will take it. Do you like their jerseys, Bob?
Well, I like it because you got kind of light blue for Chicago, light green for Detroit. It makes for a very nice contrasty couple of teams on the field. What's hard is when they're both like light blue and dark blue or something. But these are perfect.
Yeah,
pass.
Look at this pass to Capitanos out front. Corner kick coming up.
Capitano running free on the left side. Great pass to get it to him in stride.
So one would say you're green with envy when it comes to Detroit's jerseys.
Oh, no. But I do like these 2 colors. For years, everybody was, just a dark green or a dark blue or the same red but now, these are, I hesitate to use the word pretty jerseys, but they're real pretty. They're classy.
And if Chicago somehow loses today, their fans would be very blue.
Now you have to come up with 2 for the gray goalie and the black other goalie.
Right. Well, if Devin Egghai gives up 2 goals, one could say he laid an egg. Lead pass, trying to find Alvarez.
That went through, I thought, clean.
Alvarez kind of looked like he was offside. Anyways, it's a goal kick awarded for Sana. Might also be pronounced Santa. Feel free to go on the live chat. Let us know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I think it's Santa. It's probably not Sana.
Yeah, I don't like Santa. We're calling him Sana.
But the coach was clear at the beginning of the game. He's like, pronounce the names any way you want. And I'm like, what nationality are these mostly? And the names that have silent J's in it generally are Albanian.
Look at that pass by Capitanos. A lot of top spin on that ball. And then headed forward. Coming back to get it is Shevchenko. Now over to Kowalski, who keeps it in.
Shevchenko did a great job to come back on that one like that. He had a head of steam, got it back to the defense to continue to hold on to the ball. Detroit's too good of a team to say that they've been frustrated or stopped exactly by Chicago Nation, but Chicago Nation's done an outstanding job with ball control here and shutting Detroit down at the same time. So far in this half, there's a turnover.
They're on a mission, partner.
They are.
They felt like they could have won it all last year. Detroit United upset them. And knock on wood, Chicago was not lost all year. The only team that's really given them a run for their money has been Wisloka. And Wisloka was upset in the round of 64 against Goshen.
Well, Goshen, I don't know how much of an upset that was. You're right. They're second or third place. And
that shot goes wide.
They're second or third place in this real tough conference that these teams are in. Chicago Nation was first. Wisloka was also undefeated. And there's a lot of good teams at the top of that.
It's good to see at least Dizdarevich is here supporting his teammates, meaning he's not too injured. So if they win, he'll be available next weekend.
Yeah, and we were talking about that, right? And if he is available, will he start, not start? How many minutes will he play? When does he come in? There's lots of interesting questions. And then, of course, Bradley playing well today.
That's an interesting question. Like, you only have so many starters. Graffin not here today, no Dizdarevich. you can only start 3 forwards because you want to stick with the same lineup in terms of your alignment, 4-3-3, whatever you like to do. And Chicago likes to do the 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards. And so you only have 3 forwards to choose from. It's hard to put Bradley back on the bench, right? Especially if he scores the game-winning goal today. And then headed back to Devin Eghai.
And the reason the goalie can pick that up is because the impetus of the kick from Detroit took the ball to the goalie. It was just redirected. Can't pick it up if you actually purposely kick it towards your goalie and you provide the impetus on the ball. For those people that don't know why he was able to pick that up.
For people that aren't familiar with the game of soccer, let's say you kick it back to the goal and he picks it up. Is that a penalty kick?
It's not a penalty kick, I don't think. It's a free kick, but can't do that.
Free kick outside the box?
Yeah, I don't actually know, to tell you the truth.
Well, what kind of color commentator are you?
Yeah, right.
You're not watching the play. You don't know the rules.
Yeah.
You're like if Hawk Harrelson was doing color.
So somebody's going to have to come in with that one. Not a penalty kick, though.
You're penalized for your lack of knowledge.
Right. I think it should be a 10-yard penalty on that one.
Ah! Do you like SpongeBob SquarePants, Robert?
I do not, but my kids did.
So there's this episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob and Patrick, they find a magic eraser. And every time you use the eraser, it erases parts of your body.
Okay.
And every time they erase the parts of their friend's body, they use terrible puns. So SpongeBob erases Patrick's eye, and he says, "I see what you mean." And then Patrick erases SpongeBob's stomach, and then Patrick says, "No guts, no glory."
You might have been watching too many cartoons when you were young.
Too much TV, no such thing.
I had Rocky and Bullwinkle when I was growing up.
What was that, back in the 1800s?
I think so.
Lincoln was watching it with you? Don't ever watch the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. You'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I never did see it.
Although Piper Parabu's in it, and whenever she's in a movie, it's always somewhat of a plus. 1-0 score. I was close to a handball, but good job by the Detroit player, avoiding using his hands. Inside the 10, lead pass, tap kick, try, great save by Devin Eghai, Sutton on defense, save of the game, Bob.
Oh man, that's also a pass of the game as well. He put that over the defenders on the far side. It wasn't just a header, it was a kick. Devin Eghai did a great job to maximize his body to make that save. But you know, a little bit different shot would have gone in. What a fantastic pass. That belongs on every highlight film.
Well, Detroit's had limited opportunities, and the ones they had, both players going after the ball. Meanwhile, it's over to Butler. And now playing it is Klabjan.
That might have helped wake up both teams.
Definitely woke up Devin Eghai.
Yeah, saving the game for sure. But a pass, I mean, what a terrific crossing pass.
Injury on the pitch. Meanwhile, Bradley shot. Oh! Bradley almost scored his second goal of the game, Bob.
You know he wants that one back. He had a clean shot. The ball was bouncing. He had the far side of the net wide open. All he had to do was kick it in there, and unfortunately just went a little wide. So when it goes wide like that, he had the ability to put it where he wanted on that play, and he just respected the goalie too much, so he's trying to feed it more into the corner. That's a play where, like you said, he'd love to have it back and kick it more toward the middle of the net and take his chances on if the goalie could have read it and gotten over there or not. But what a great play to get him wide open. This kid can play.
I'm going to start calling him Rad Brad because his shots are quite rad. We call Shidchenko the secret weapon. Remember, Shidchenko started the year off the bench.
Yeah, I hardly think he's a secret weapon. He is
not anymore, but starting the year, I mean, he didn't even start, and he scored the go-ahead goal at the time against Springfield FC.
Well, and Bradley has a go-ahead goal so far here.
Alex Bradley does, not Shidchenko.
Right, Bradley has the go-ahead goal here.
Bradley University would be proud. Capitanos getting in the way of that, but he was the last one to touch it. So throw-in awarded for Detroit. Soccer, Bob, sometimes it can be an unfair game. This game could end a 1-0 final, and just one mistake by Michael Santa cost them a chance of going to the round of 8.
Well, and that's the thing about soccer. There is some just bad bounces sometimes, and you don't get a whole lot of chances to make up for it. You get a bad bounce in basketball, you have tons of chances to score more points. Soccer, not so.
Sometimes hockey, too. Sometimes you get 1-0 finals in hockey. And, of course, Game 4 of the World Series was a 1-0 final.
Yeah, but soccer scores way fewer goals in those two sports, and there's all kinds of strange deflections.
That's what made that World Cup so exciting. 3-3. The French guy, Mbappe, scored all 3 of their goals. How rare do you see a PK 3-3 final score?
Yeah, right. It's so true. But I was majorly pulling for Argentina and Messi in that.
I don't know. That Mbappe guy is fun to watch.
Well, he is. I mean, he's everything they say he is, right?
Corner kick. And not a good one, Bob.
Well, again, we talked about this last time I was here before the Goshen game, right? Where the teams that are better seem to kick the ball past the far post. Typically, teams I'm on and have watched, obviously not as talented, they kick the ball at the far post more. But these teams are kicking it beyond the far post, and that's what happened here. That maybe it was a little bit further away from the net on that play.
Yeah, and it was, very further away from the net, going to the wrong side of the net.
And when I played, I generally tried to kick the ball into the middle. But, these teams are actually running plays in there and picks and screens, and they're trying to hit a pinpoint to a player. And when it works, it's a thing of beauty. But that's where the goals get scored a lot, on those set pieces from the corner.
Over to the sideline. Sutton will play it as he feeds at that time to Rzuski. Now back to Sutton. Over to the sideline, played by Detroit, header by Butler, off the foot. Great play by Lebovich, back and forth. We go kind of a ping pong game right now. And then Sutton kicks it forward.
Yeah, Sutton started that ping pong game. He sent it from the defense rather than bring it up slowly and deliberately. It's kind of unusual for Nation to do that, but they did. And then Detroit did the same thing back, and it became, like you said, a ping pong game.
We're in the 39th minute, 1-0 score for Chicago. If you're just joining us, shame on you. You should have been here at 6:30. Second of all, Chicago scored early on in the 5th minute, Bob, and Bradley almost scored again, just wide to make it 2-0.
Yeah, not by much.
Detroit's had limited chances. They had that shot that went wide, and then they had a great save by Devin Heggai. What do you think of that decision there, Bob? I don't like it because it just gives the ball right back to Devin Heggai.
Well, and I've been on record on some of these games, right? But I feel like that's just an easy turnover. But there was a player, he was looking to make it a far post pass. It just didn't get enough of the kick. So that was just a pass that went too far that turned into what ended up being a shot. It'll be called a shot, but it was really a cross pass that went awry.
Over to Lopez, left-footed boot. The opposing number 9 and Alvarez got it. Alvarez trying to keep it in. He's frustrated, but just that's so hard, partner. Unless you're Messi or Neymar, it's hard to stop the ball right near the yellow line and then kick it back to Sutton. That's like something a professional soccer player can do.
Well, at the same time, though, there's really no harm in this. 8 a little clock. Detroit gets the ball in a harmless spot midfield, and it was tough to control. Gave it everything you could to control it. So Detroit with the ball at midfield still.
What numbers of Detroit have you liked so far? Jordi Lopez is number 9.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess I don't watch the numbers too much.
You're 0 for 3.
You're going to call the strikeout then.
You were Casey at the bat and you struck out. It's a great poem if you've ever read it. Over to Butler, double teamed, stolen away by Detroit. Right-footed boot, looking for Capitanos. Why is he always so wide open, Bob?
Well, first off, he's fast. He's wide on the left side, and that's why. And so obviously he's not going to get the pass when he's covered. So when he's not covered, that's when he gets those passes. And the other thing is he's a very speedy guy.
He's had some chances, Bob. He'd like to cap it off with a goal.
Well, he causes a lot of consternation for the defense. You have to account for him, so you have to leave somebody out over there. Otherwise, somebody in the middle of the field is going to be open.
But Chicago Nation likes to get the ball into the corner, off into Capitanos, and then he's good at running it into the box or centering it. Makes great crossing passes, and obviously the other Nation players are the recipient of those passes.
Tapped out that time by Detroit's Mikey. Also goes by Agwanya.
Yeah, we were getting the names earlier, and I looked at that one and I couldn't even begin to pronounce it. And
Chakwadi Agwanya.
Yeah, so the coach says, well, he likes to go by Mikey.
I don't know. Mikey's kind of lame. I like Agwanya better.
You're calling his name lame?
That's not even his real name. It's his nickname.
As we hear a lone vuvuzela. I guess it's vuvuzela, right?
However you want to say, they can be very annoying for the opposing team.
I like hearing them. Chicago Nation brings them out in a box and passes them out to probably who just ever says they're willing to blow them a lot.
What adjustments do you think Detroit has to make at halftime?
Yeah, that's another good one. I don't think I would make any adjustments here. You're only down a goal. You have had a couple of quality shots at the net. Sometimes you risk making adjustments that don't work. So you don't want to overreact changing something. I'm surprised they called anything there because it went off Detroit's head, but they're saying that he pushed the Chicago player before he hit it. Interesting.
They're going to talk it over.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that was a whistle, but the Chicago player is still hurt on the deck, so the referee being closer to the play than me. But I don't think I would make adjustments if I'm Detroit. Even though they're down by a goal, it was a bad goal, right? And Detroit has had some quality shots, and the only other real good shot that Chicago Nation has had is that one from Bradley. So I'm talking myself into saying, don't make adjustments, but you're going to have to push harder. You're going to have to, the soft things. You got to communicate better. You got to pass it to more open people. Just a couple, 2 or 3 fewer turnovers, and hopefully you can get back in the game that way. I don't think you got to change from whatever you're running to a 5-2-3-1 or a 4-2-4 or 4-4-2. Yeah, I don't think you need to change your organization. Just you got to execute, and that bad goal, unfortunately, is the difference in this game.
And not that Devin Egghai has been perfect today. He almost gave up a garbage goal in his own right.
Garbage goal on that fantastic pass?
No, before that, remember the one hopper from the 40-yard line that he misjudged?
Yeah, it just didn't look good. Do you think that ball had any chance of going in? I mean,
it was close. It just barely went above the crossbar.
Yeah, but he could have obviously then totally misplayed it and still wouldn't have gone in the net.
Right.
So
well, we'll never know.
Yeah. Well, we do know the ball went over the crossbar.
And because he misjudged it, he didn't touch it. If he had touched it, as a yellow card awarded, it's in favor of Chicago. It's against Detroit.
Oh, he must have said something the ref didn't like. That just changed the complexion of the game. He's tossed.
Red card. There goes Mikey.
Yeah.
Bad decision, Bob. I don't care if you don't like the call. You just can't say anything to the ref.
Had to have said a magic word. That was just too quick. We're yellow, then red. I'm not sure the play warranted yellow to begin with. Got to play that back, but he got the yellow. And then obviously the player had to say something to the ref, and the ref says, look, I'm not taking that. You're out of here.
What's the old saying? You can't argue balls and strikes, and in soccer you can't argue yellow cards.
Well, I think you can argue the yellow card, but you have to argue it professionally.
All right.
There had to be a 4-letter word involved. A magic 4-letter word involved. We'll never know, but that's a huge. When you're in the round of 16, I think that's when you let a little of that go.
For the refs, you mean?
I would not have called red on that, no matter what he said.
Well, technically, it's zero tolerance. You say the magic words, you're automatically gone. The officials don't have to tolerate it.
Yeah, was that the same player that had the header on the other end? I mean, he might have had some choice words for the ref then, and then. The ref didn't like it, and then he heard it again and decided, yeah, it's enough of you.
So if you're Chicago, now you're up a man. Do you just want to play conservative the whole game, knowing you're up a man, and it's going to be harder for them to score?
Well, that's one way to approach it. But again, like we were talking, I don't think Detroit would have. Now they have to change their oh, here we go.
Klabjan over to Bradley.
I think Chicago doesn't need to change their game plan at all. They've got one less defender to worry about now, so somebody's always going to be open. It's Detroit now has to change something with one less guy.
Is Bradley your go-to guy to send it to in front of the net?
Well, so far Chicago's yes, but so far Chicago's proving that they still like to go to the corners like this, right, and then send it with a cross. This time it's on the opposite side of Capitanos. Bradley's on this side here. Capitano switch sides.
Butler with it. Over to Bradley. Can he do it again? Bradley takes his time. Help comes. Tap pass in front.
This will be Detroit's ball, I'm pretty sure. Nope, they're calling Chicago's ball.
And that's that kind of that split decision you have to make, Bob. When you're that close to the net, should you shoot it right when you get the ball like that? Bradley stopped, and then the help came, and he really had nowhere to go with the ball.
Well, I think it was smart on his part. There were what looked to me like 3 defenders plus a goalie. That means somebody else is open somewhere else. Turn it around and pass it to one of those guys. Plus, Detroit's missing somebody. This missing somebody on this field this early in the game is going to wear on Detroit.
Just not a good decision by Mikey.
No, it wasn't.
It happens, though.
He got a little too hot under the collar, apparently. We don't know what he said, but that referee went to red card really quick. After
you were watching that game on Thursday night where FC Wichita had a chance to end Chicago City SC's perfect season, and just a bad decision with a headbutt, and then the red card was called.
Well, and we saw that. I don't think it was a headbutt that got him kicked out. I think it was the cleats to the hips that got him tossed, then a headbutt. But whatever, that was all retaliation because he felt like on what could have been maybe a foul, he decided to retaliate because the ref didn't call anything. And you don't do that in soccer. You don't retaliate. That was a clear case of the referee saw the retaliation. It was clearly intent. So goodbye. But that changes the game too much. And here with the round of 16.
And that was indeed 3 whistles, so that does it for the first half.
But you just can't make that. You just can't get a red card in this situation. And then I think if you're a referee, let it go. Let it go. With 16 teams left, this red card is going to change the whole game.
I get that too, Bob. But like I said, at this point, it's just changed. Society's changed. You just can't talk back to the refs and the umpires like you could 30 years ago. They respect the refs and umpires because we're losing them. There's a lot of good refs and umpires that just don't want to do this anymore because they just get sick of being heckled and being argued with.
Yeah, yeah, and the refs are conferring right now. I bet you, we don't know what they're talking about, but I would put money that they're talking about that red card call right now.
I think it was the right call. I mean, there's no need for that.
Yeah, we don't know what he said.
I'm sure it was the right words. You don't just eject somebody in a round of 16 match.
Right. I think there might have been a little bit of. I think a play happened at this end, right? And then a similar play happened at that end. And it's likely that you said Mikey was maybe a little bit mouthy on the one end, and the ref didn't like that much. And then he was doubly mouthy over here. And, well, unfortunately for Detroit now, this is where they're going to have to go into the halftime and say, our season is over unless. And what's the unless? They're going to have to find a way to aggressively score a goal. The question is going to be, do they have to sit back on defense and watch Chicago Nation hold on to the ball the whole time? Or are they going to have to find a way to counter on an attack shot? They got to decide what they're going to do.
We saw that in the FC Wichita game where FC Wichita, they just cheated up the midfielders, and if they gave up the breakaway, they were like, well, we're not going to win anyways unless we cheat up. So we're going to cheat up. If we give up the breakaway and lose 3-0, we'll live with it. And they almost got beaten once doing that, but I think that's what Detroit's going to have to do. Try to play normal soccer the first 10 minutes of the second half, and then after that you just cheat everybody up and hope you don't give up a breakaway.
Yeah, cheat everybody up. Maybe cheat, one defender up, and instead of a 4-3-3, well, now you're probably like a 3-3-3. But you can't really go to a 2-4-3. It's going to be a tough.
You can't, but I mean, it's do or die now. You got to find a way, and that's the problem, Bob. You have to find a way to score a goal and not give up any more.
Right.
I don't see you scoring 2 goals and giving up 1 to Chicago and going into the PKs tied 2-2.
Right, and you have to do it carefully too, because you can't give up a goal first while you're doing that. You have to push forward safely to tie the game, because if you push forward unsafely and you give up, let's say a 2-on-1 break, and you end up down 2-0, you can't catch up down 2-0 with a down a player, at least not easily.
And that's what they're probably talking to the coaching staff for Detroit, led by Benny Tata, talking about. There's only 2 ways we're going to win this game, guys. We're either going to beat them 2-1 in regulation, or it's going 1-1 into PK. So we got to find a way to score a goal, not give up any more, or somehow score 2 goals down a man.
Well, that's also part of the discussion. You're absolutely right. Scoring 2 goals in this mode, it might be too tall of an order, but what you try to do here is get that 1 goal, stay in the defensive shell, maybe perhaps with no forwards. Do what you have to do to not let Chicago Nation get another goal and go to the PK, because obviously when you're down a guy in PK, that doesn't matter at that point.
And then if you're Chicago, let's say you gave up a goal even though you're up a man. Would you rather win it in regulation, play overly aggressive, and possibly give up a mismatch on the defensive end? Or do you play your game even if you give up a goal and just if it goes to PKs, you can live with it?
Yeah, I love the question. I mean, the temptation to stay with what got you there, but if they give up a goal against a man short, yikes. But at that point in time, I hustle my tail off with whatever I got to do to score the extra goal in regulation while you have a man advantage. Because if you get the PK, first off, that's exactly what Detroit wants. And secondly, you get the PK, and like we talked earlier, it's kind of a 50-50 who's going to win, other than you might have an edge on the goalie. But yeah, you want to win that game when you have a 10-9 player on the field advantage.
So we'll take a break, and then we'll give you some halftime analysis. You're watching Chicago Nation against Detroit United here on SBS.
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. SBS offers live telecasts on channel 59.3, YouTube, or Twitch. We include pre- and post-game interviews with the players.
You know, I started in the locker room. All the boys were getting going before the game and stuff, and we kind of found a little click at the beginning of the game, so I think that's what got us going.
We also include digital live statistics, play-by-play commentary, team highlight reels, and even more than that. Go online to sportsbroadcastsolutions.com or search Sports Broadcast Solutions on YouTube. SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. At SBS, we offer a professional broadcasting experience for the non-professional athlete. Just like the pros, we offer everything for you. Play-by-play commentary.
A no-hitter at Kane County Stadium. 15 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 error, and that's it.
Color commentary, highlight reels, recruiting videos, and much, much more. Unlike our competitors, we zoom in on the action and always have a live scoreboard with a live time code. If you're ready to have your next sporting event feel like CBS Sports, then make sure to call Sports Broadcast Solutions today. Our phone number is 330-957-7653, or you can go online to sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Missing your child's sporting event just plain stinks. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, thanks to Sports Broadcast Solutions. SBS is a live broadcasting network, as well as covering your on-demand needs, recruiting videos, highlight reels, and much, much more. We can broadcast live to any website, and we also post as much on-demand content as you need. For more information about SBS, check out our website at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Sports Broadcast Solutions, a broadcasting network for everyone.
Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. Let SBS broadcast your sporting event. We have experience and can generate excitement and permanent digital memories for your team.
Tonight. That time, finally a goal for the Stampede!
We have professional videographers using high-definition modern-day cameras, color analysts, and play-by-play announcers with state-of-the-art, classy graphical scoreboards to keep you updated. Plus, we have commercials to advertise your team, club, or sponsor, and us. Plus, we do pregame and postgame interviews.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the postgame show brought to you by Marion Central Catholic. My name's Kyle Smith, but my name doesn't matter. These young ladies matter. It's senior night as the Hurricanes win a battle down the stretch, 48-46.
Hi, I'm Carrie Kramer. I swim 50 breast, 50 free, and 100 back.
Whatever your sports broadcast needs, we are at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital sporting world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. Instead of spending hundreds or thousands with all these college recruiting sites, let us put together your college highlight reel. For just a fraction of your potential college scholarship and significantly less than these recruiting services, we got this. In addition, we put together highlight reels for teams, including high school, your club team, or travel team.
My teammate gave me a great pass, and I just took it. The other team slashed me, took the opportunity, saw where the goalie was weak, and I just shot it there.
Stolen. O'Connor and Marsh back on defense, and Marsh gets a blowout. We got a breakaway at 2-0. A shot, and it's a goal! So 3-3. The power play was officially over.
Whatever your sports broadcast needs, check us out at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. For those of you who would like to broadcast or live stream your event, or maybe make a highlight tape but would like a sponsor to fund the event, SBS has a myriad of ways to advertise your sponsor during our broadcasts. We have commercials. We have on-air reads by the announcers.
Albatross Physical Therapy and Wellness specializes in pain-free.
We have graphics, and we have watermarks. Finally, Sports Broadcast Solutions can create a commercial for you or your sponsor. Whatever your sports broadcast needs, we are at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital sporting world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. For those of you that just want raw footage of your sporting event, but no play-by-play or color commentary, you just need us to live stream video from the event over the internet. We will live stream your event on YouTube on our Sports Broadcast Solutions channel. In addition, we also have a dedicated channel on YouTube for live streaming at SBS Livestream. And if you need multiple channels, we can utilize Facebook Livestream and Instagram Live on our channel as well. Options include commercials from your sponsors, professional scoreboard graphics are still available, and of course, yes, pre- and post-game interviews are available as an option if you want.
We've been working really hard this whole summer and stuff.
Whatever your sports broadcast needs, we are at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. Check us out and become part of the digital sporting world. Sports Broadcast Solutions is a broadcasting network for everyone. We broadcast sporting events for people of all ages, including adult leagues, high school leagues, and kids. Complete with professional-looking graphics, broadcasters, color analysis, and commercials. We do pre- and post-game interviews with the players. In addition, Sports Broadcast Solutions does highlight films, including college recruiting reels, highlight films you'd see on sports news programs, and just simply highlight films for fun. Sports Broadcast Solutions also provides raw footage and live streams if you'd like. Subscribe to us and listen to our professional talk videos about relevant topics in the pro and college ranks. Whatever your sports broadcast needs, contact us at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com and become part of the digital world. This is Sports Broadcast Solutions, a broadcasting network for everyone. Check us out at sportsbroadcastsolutions.com and become part of the digital sporting world.
So one more time, we're doing a scissors. And then a quick double tap. And accelerating away at pace.
Back to the action at SBS, the broadcasting network for everyone. And Bob, it's 1-0. Alex Bradley, the difference maker. Alex almost scored. Detroit almost scored. Great save by Devin Eghai, a wide shot for Detroit. And that's really it. There hasn't been a lot of opportunities for either team in that first half.
Yeah, both teams have been hustling. Both teams have excellent defenses. It's hard to penetrate the goal on the other side. So there's going to be very limited quality shots in this game, probably till the end. So when you kick it toward the net, you got to have a high probability of it going and hitting the back of the net. Otherwise, don't kick it.
So for Chicago Nation, partner, they're up by a man the rest of the match. And for Detroit, they're going to have to try to battle their way through it. What do they have to do? What adjustments do they have to make? They got to find a way to score a goal down a man, either score twice or score once and not give up any more goals.
Well, and I'm sure that's what they were talking about. Okay, let's tie the game up. But how to tie the game up? Well, what I'm hoping or what I'm expecting Detroit to say would be, well, we're going to pressure Chicago into some turnovers. We have to risk getting sent behind our defensive line, but pressure Chicago into turnovers and try to turn that into a goal. And then if we get that goal, hang on to the end, so get to the PKs to win this game. So that's going to be Detroit's strategy, I would think. In Chicago, I don't think really should change anything, but the advantage on not having an extra defensive player for Detroit is going to wear on Detroit, and Chicago is going to try and get a second goal during this process. And again, whoever scores first at this point is a huge advantage to win the game.
Over to Shevchenko, trying to find Bradley, stolen by Detroit. It was played that time by Detroit's Gomez. Bradley after it. Gomez had it briefly. Gomez with a dribble over to himself, and it's blown dead by the nearest ref.
Yeah, he was getting hassled from behind, and he decided, is there an advantage or not an advantage? And although Detroit had the ball, he decided, free kick is a little better advantage than where he had the ball, so hence free kick. It's a tough decision all the time for the ref.
Do you think Chicago's a little frustrated that they don't have the purely unbeaten record?
Oh, I don't think they're thinking about it. Do you? I don't think they think that way. I think they're just looking for a win this round, then a win next week, and then two more after that, and then they're the champions. I don't think they're thinking about, well, let's see, we've got a blemish on our record, it's a tie here. I don't think they think that way.
Well, let's say the Patriots had a tie that season and had won the Super Bowl. Would they have considered that a blemish on their record?
Well, we won the national championship one year, and we had one loss, and it didn't bother us. I mean, sure.
A loss is different than a tie.
Yeah, but sometimes whether it's a loss or a tie, it sometimes wakes you up a little bit. You're not as another free kick there, push from behind. That blemish sometimes causes you to hustle just a little bit more or execute something just a little bit better next time. So it's not so bad to have that loss or a tie in there.
I always think about that 85 Bears season. Their only loss was to the Dolphins, and guess who they could have played in the Super Bowl if Dan Marino had played well in that AFC Championship.
Yeah, you and I talked about that game, many a time. I think
wouldn't that be something if the Dolphins had beaten the Bears twice that year?
It wouldn't have happened. Dolphins laid over against Patriots because they knew they were going to have to play the Bears in the Super Bowl. That's what happened.
You keep telling yourself, Robert.
Yeah,
you keep telling yourself
they would have
that.
gotten slaughtered by the Bears.
Would have been a fun game. It would have been a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback against one of the greatest defenses of all time. I still think the greatest NFL team is that Patriots team. I know they lost in the Super Bowl, but 18-1, I don't think another team will get that close to undefeated. Meanwhile, lead pass over to Butler, out in front, chance for Chicago, over to Bradley. Bradley shot, beautiful block by Detroit.
Boy, we got to like this Bradley guy, right? So I think you know who your post-game guest is going to be.
He's kind of a basketball player, isn't he? He's got great size for the forward position. Free kick awarded for Detroit. Well, Bob, it's like you said, if you're going to commit a free kick, that's where you want to do, in between the 40-yard lines.
Yeah, well, he's going to get his money's worth. He's going to get a yellow card, I'm pretty sure.
Better just shut up and get back, because they might call a red card on Chicago if you keep talking to them.
Well, nobody's talking to him, but here comes the yellow.
Right, but I'm sure that's what A.J. Ostrowski and Garrett Hayward was telling these Chicago Nation players.
Yeah,
just accept the yellow card. They've established, the refs no longer want to hear it. You say one word, you're going into the sin bin.
Or not that word.
It might just be any word. Sometimes it gets to a point. I've umpired games before where you say any kind of argument and you're getting tossed. I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah, I think only bad referees or bad umps do that. I think good referees.
It just depends how much you've been hassled and if you've been hassled for just unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you're hassled for every strike and ball call, that's just an ejection. Just goodbye.
Yeah.
And if for soccer, if you're getting hassled for every slide tackle call that you make for a free kick, then you just eject them. You're gone.
Yeah, the referees I've been around, yes, they make some bad calls, but they don't make them that often, so
right.
they don't get hassled too much.
It's like you said, it was controversial to call the red, but if you already told him earlier that no more and he does it again, then he's just testing you. And that's not allowed in society. That's not allowed in a job. You can't keep testing your boss. You would get terminated, right? Your employment gets terminated. Same thing with soccer. You keep doing the wrong thing, you get ejected, you get a call for the red card.
Yeah, well, he was terminated today.
It's a tall task for Detroit. They got to be tired too, Bob. It is a long drive from Detroit to Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know if they drove here or stayed overnight in the hotel, but it's a good chance they drove earlier today. Some might have stayed in the hotel the night before. Chicago's a nice place to visit.
Right. We're in Glen Ellen, of course, so they might have stayed in the Glen Ellen area.
This it gives me a chance to talk about the stadium. I mean, what a fantastic stadium. So I'm at Harper College, right? College of DuPage is one of the main competitors that we play against.
Lead pass to Shevchenko. Santa getting out of the box. And Shevchenko kicks it away.
Yeah, and what a top-notch facility. I'm very envious of this outdoor soccer arena. We would not have a professional game like this at Harper College, whereas we certainly can accommodate it here at this great stadium here at College of DuPage.
So let's say Shevchenko accidentally hits Santa in the face. Would that be a yellow card or a red card?
Accidentally? Well, it's probably just,
or just no call.
It could be anything. I mean, whatever the ref decides on that. I mean, just because he accidentally hits him in the face doesn't automatically mean you got a yellow or a red card.
Shot by Butler off the post. Into the back of the net. 2-0 Chicago. What a shot by Butler, Bob. Even better pass.
What a shot is right. From this angle, it looked like it was a toe kick, and I'm sure it wasn't a toe kick, right? But the only way to get that ball in the net was to hit the near post or the far post. So what does it do? It hits the near post, barely goes behind, skids along the back line, and landed in the net. What a great shot. Just about, there are not too many places that ball could have gone to go in the net. But that's got to pretty much, I don't like to call a game over before it's over, but when you're up 2-0 early in the second half and the other team is down a man, it doesn't look good for Detroit.
All right, so if you're Chicago, would you just be conservative the rest of the match?
I would not. You're up a guy, and your strategy that you've been using so far the whole entire game has been working, and now Detroit has one less defender to try to stop it. So no, if I'm Chicago, I continue to play, straight up on offense, straight up on defense. Continue to hustle, continue to press. Realize that there's a finish line here. So push through till the finish line. Do not take it easy. Do not take your foot off the gas. Don't get any hamstring injuries, though.
Well, this was the one that Chicago circled on their calendars if they were ever going to meet again in the postseason. They wanted revenge for that dome game they played in November against Detroit. They lost 3-0, and they got a chance to give Detroit a taste of their own medicine with a 3-0 shellacking of their own.
Well, what I learned over time, too, is the home court advantage means a lot.
Home field?
Home court, I'm talking about when I coach volleyball, the home court team does win more than, and there's no earthly reason for that, right? The rules are the same. But it happens. The home team wins a lot. So Detroit won on their home field, and now Chicago is winning on their home field.
It does matter, though. You think of that 2011 World Series. A lot of Rangers fans just want to forget it. They were up 3-2, but the problem was Game 6 and Game 7 were both played in St. Louis, and of course St. Louis won both. Game 6 was that fabulous game where the Cardinals were down to their last strike twice, but they had last at-bats. Lance Berkman with the game-tying hit, and of course David Freese with the walk-off homer.
Yeah, sorry to get back to soccer, but I'm intrigued by this free kick. I didn't see the actual foul that happened, but a couple of times when there's been some real heavy, intense activity near the goal, the free kick always seems to go in the favor of the defensive team, which relieves the pressure.
Lead pass was a good one. I mean, you got to be aggressive. You're down a man, now you're down 2. Should Santa have had that shot from Butler? No, I don't think so. I think that was just a really good shot from Butler.
It was a good shot. He had just a little bit of a lane to kick it. He did. It just hit the post. I mean, anywhere but hitting that post, it wouldn't have been a goal just about.
It wouldn't have hurt his last, because if he had made the original save in the first half, you'd only be down 1-0. Now you're chasing 2, down a man. And now Chicago knows that. They don't have to play aggressive if they don't want to.
You could play that further, too. Maybe the red card happened as a result of some frustration from Detroit.
Shevchenko with a nice move. Lead kick. Trying to feed it that time to Capitanos.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, there's a tug. This will be yellow.
Yeah.
Can't do that. You knew it.
Just unnecessary. You're also up a man. Just don't need to do that.
Well, he slowed the rush down. I mean, that was intentional. The ref knew it. That's hence the yellow card.
Chicago looking to make a sub here. Mijatovic looking to check in.
So some fresh legs, as they say. But that gives Detroit a free kick at the middle of the field.
So Alvarez's day is done.
Yeah, so there's no real danger here.
It's the battle of the white hair man. One white hair man goes out, another white hair man goes in. It's kind of like the Eminem hairstyle.
Well, when I was up close to the team earlier, it looked gray to me, and I was thinking, wait, how old are these guys? But yeah, it's meant to be white. So Detroit has a chance to push their team forward on this free kick. So this will be one of the few good opportunities Detroit's going to have before the game ends, but unfortunately down by 2 for them.
And if you're Chicago, now you're up a man. Now you can definitely clog the middle and force Detroit to take a tough shot.
Well, right. And although Detroit is in kind of an offensive mode here as opposed to just running and gunning, Chicago has one extra defender to double the ball whenever they want. Some great ball control there. Nice pass. Here we go. That's what they needed.
Shot. Good save by Devin Eghai.
And now they got the corner. Same thing. I would expect to see Detroit clogging the box with a lot of offensive players to try to get one goal back. Trouble is now the Chicago Nation, all they got to do is get their head on it, push it forward, and they could run out on the counter play. So we'll see how it plays out. Detroit's doing what we thought, just one defender. Chicago right now has 2 forwards. I think one forward's going back now, Capitanos.
Off the corner. High arching kick. And we'll do it again, this time a throw-in. Don't go anywhere. The post-game show brought to you by SBS. Hope you've been enjoying the broadcast. If you like the broadcast, as that's a spinorama move by Detroit. It was done that time by Gomez. If you like what we do at SBS, go on our website, sportsbroadcastsolutions.com. We broadcast all sporting events. When it comes to soccer, travel soccer, feeder, high school, college, semi-pro, whatever you need, SBS will be there for you. Lead kick over to Shevchenko. There to greet him was Torres Gonzalez. And Shevchenko with an ill-advised foul, but you can do that, Bob, now that you're up by 2 goals and you're up a man.
Well, it's the old, you want to be physical in the other team's goalie box. If you get the retaliation or if he makes a mistake and fouls you, you get a penalty kick, and he just pushed from behind, and, well, the correct call was made. The line judge put the flag up in the air. It was an easy call.
If you're Michael Santa, knowing that it's win or go home, you gave up a soft goal, and a goal that was a nice shot by Butler, one he might have, could have had. Do you think about that a lot going into the offseason? Can giving up those kind of goals ruin your confidence?
Well, I don't know, the Detroit franchise here, let's say, right? But you give up a soft goal like that, and with 16 teams left, and they might be looking for a different goalie for next year. That was just it's just a bad goal. Now, if it turns out this is the best goalie they've had for the last 3 years or something like that, they would never consider getting rid of him. But I don't know the history Detroit has with the goalie. That was obviously a bad goal to give up.
And I think what's interesting about goalies and goalkeepers, you kind of remember the ones they should have had versus the great saves they made. Like, I talked about Tim Esposito, the one he should have had in the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
And then...
when I used to play the sport, same thing. The plays I didn't make are the ones that kept me up. It wasn't the good plays I made during the day that kept me up. It was the ones I didn't make. What can I do better next time when it happens?
Isn't sports interesting? Bill Buckner was a 300 hitter, but the only thing we remember is a ground ball he didn't have in Game 6 of the '86 World Series. You ask an average baseball fan, the only play they can remember from Moises Alou's career is the fly ball he didn't have in foul territory. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it is. It is amazing.
You ask a Buffalo Sabre fan, one of the few plays they remember from Hasek is the save he didn't make in the Stanley Cup final and the one that the Stars scored to win the Cup.
Well, Detroit's going to have a long offseason after this, but you can't take anything away from their season. They've had a great season to get to this point.
And you just can't commit red cards. That's what put them in this spot. Full charge that time by Butler. Lead kick, too much on. He was trying to find Klabjen. Stealing it is Detroit's Jan Jorge. And now over to the sideline, played by Jordi Lopez. Fans are getting into it here at College of DuPage Stadium. They can sense it, partner. One more game here at COD Stadium. It would be on the 22nd of July. We would cover that most likely on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's for sure. That'll be, Final 8?
The Final 8, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then the winner goes to Virginia. Chicago has been in the national championship before. They're going to need Dizdarevich if they're going to win it all.
Well, yes, but they are playing very, very, very well without him, and Bradley has been outstanding.
He's got great endurance for his size. You'd think at this point of the match he would get a substitution, but despite his tall size, as that's a lead kick over to Shevchenko out in front. Another kick. Just wide. What a pass from Bradley, man of the match, partner.
I feel like that was one of those plays where it was just one pass too many.
I don't think Capitanos was quite ready for it. What a pass, though. My goodness, no look, tap kick.
Well, and that's what Detroit is up against. They're pressing to get a goal, 2 goals. They're not giving up for sure, right? And so, Nation is a very slick passing team, and I'm a little surprised it didn't go in the net.
How tough is it when you lose in these playoffs games, partner? You have 4 to 5 months to think about it until the next season.
Time just goes so slow. You cannot wait to get back and play the next game and make up for it. When you play, it's so much fun. Win, lose, or draw, it's so fun to be out there. It's always hard to be on the bench and not be in the game. But, of course, we're looking at the Detroit bench, and there's only, 2 guys there?
Foul committed that time by
that'll be it. Maybe
Andres Gomez.
We'll see what color this time is.
Gotta be a red.
When you're done. A very unsportsmanlike kick right into the Chicago Nation player on the ground.
I know you're frustrated, Bob. Andres Gomez is number 10. You're frustrated. You know that your season was pretty much over. Now it's definitely over. Down 2 men and down 2 goals.
Again, you have to simply say another really, really bad decision.
And now if you're a ref, partner, now you're seeing some pushing and shoving, some words being said from the players. When does it get to a point when you're the ref you just call a forfeit and give Chicago the win?
Well, I don't think you get to that point. I think you continue to calm the players down. Saner heads will prevail. But yeah, that was not appropriate.
Just not sportsmanlike. Look, I know that emotions are high. It's a playoff game. There's just no need to commit a play like that.
No, obviously frustration got the best of Gomez. Gomez, frankly, has had an absolutely terrific game for Detroit. Midfielder, he's all over the field.
Right.
He's doing a great job hustling his tail off. And I think some of the frustration, never mind the bad goal, right? But then the red card that just took them out of the game, right? Then another goal. Now you're down 2 and down a player. And I think he just decided, I can't go on. I'm going to take my pound of flesh. And then now he's kicked out.
So if you're Chicago, it looks like you're going to win this match. Detroit is now down 2 men. I'm not saying that Detroit would go after some chippy stuff, some after the whistle stuff, but if you're Chicago, you don't want to risk it, right? Take out some of your best players to make sure that they don't get hurt with some late kicks, some going right at the legs type of slide tackles.
Yeah, I just don't think Detroit is a dirty team. I don't
think so either, but sometimes stuff like this can get out of hand, especially in a playoff game.
Yeah, but I think they recognize that there's 16 teams, then Chicago Nation is going to be one of 8. I don't think Detroit's going to do anything that's going to jeopardize a Chicago player next couple of weeks. The frustration has been on the Detroit side because they're not winning, not because they're being out-physicaled or cheap shots from Chicago Nation or something. Now, conversely, Chicago Nation has to be a little bit careful going into some side tackles or where there are multiple people might go up for a header or something where it can be a headbutt and somebody gets a concussion. I think you got to be a little bit defensive there. You certainly don't want to do an all-out sprint into a hamstring injury. I think you got to pay attention to that. But there's nothing Detroit's going to be able to do down 2 players on the field. Now, so far, Chicago Nation is playing with the ball on the perimeter and just holding it. Let's see if that's what they do the rest of the game. They might not. We'll see. Will they even try to get a 3rd goal? We'll watch.
If you're Detroit, you don't want to give up, obviously, but what can you do down 2 men to try to get back into this match?
I think what you're left with here is Detroit has a coaching staff, and if you're a player, you want to show the coaching staff that you're going to continue to try and hustle and do your best and be worthy of being on the team next year.
They're going to stay aggressive. Klabjan with it. Lead kick, too much on it. Not the best pass partner. Bradley was wide open, but Klabjan just missed him.
Yeah. But that's what Detroit has to avoid, right? They can't give up that odd man rush. But getting 2 goals the rest of the game, probably not.
Over to Shitchenko, out in front, chance, and kicked away by Detroit. Throw-in coming up.
That was well defended. Now just a throw-in from the side, which is way better than the corner kick.
Are you surprised Chicago is still trying their hardest on offense?
I don't know that they are yet still. But we've got some history with Chicago Nation not trying real hard the whole game, even with a lead. That was some real nice defensive work there.
Yeah. How tough is it for Detroit having to drive back? Not only are you going to lose the match, but you committed 2 red cards, which pretty much did you in, even if you had a chance to win this match.
Well, and your season's done. Detroit went a long way, and maybe this is where their season should have ended. With a rematch here this year versus last year. They're a good team. They just got beat. They're going to go home, and like I said, time is going to go real nice behind the back pass. Time is going to go real slow until they get to play again next year. Play on. See, that's what I'm saying. Both teams, okay, there's a little bit of a collision there.
Yeah, good sportsmanship that time by Butler and Jorge.
Right, Detroit is not by any stretch a dirty team.
They just committed 2 very bad mistakes.
Well, and only one of them was a physically bad mistake.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there was no intent to injure somebody by whacking a soccer ball at him, too. It's not like he kicked him at the ankles looking for
right. It's just an unnecessary play, and the chance of injury was high because of what he did.
Not with a ball flying at you.
Shitchenko with a breakaway. Here comes Shitchenko. Shot, goal! The icing on the cake of a blowout victory here in Chicago. And who better to score, Bob, than the all-time leading goal scorer in Chicago Nation history?
Well, remember we talked earlier about Chicago made 1 pass too many and it went wide? Not that time. It was a 3-on-1. There were 2 wide-open players running down the middle and left side, and Shevchenko took the shot and made it. Perfect shot went in. But that's the risk Detroit runs. Detroit did not give up. They are trying to score still, despite down 2. And Chicago Nation countered that into a 3-on-1 break and a goal.
How about that, partner? Since that not-so-great performance against Sueño in the opening round, they beat Goshen City 3-0. Now they're beating Detroit United 3-0.
Yeah, when you look at the scores, 3-0, I mean, somebody will say that's a blowout, but 3-0, then again 3-0, and now you're in the top 8 teams in the country. I mean, if you're like winning 1-0 or 4-3 or something like that, you feel like you're more vulnerable, so to speak, but you're winning 3-0 in these last 2 games against very strong teams. So Chicago Nation, they're continuing their mission.
We might have a rivalry brewing, too, between Chicago and Detroit. It'd be interesting what happens if they play again in the postseason in 2023 or 2024. Foul on the play.
A little bit of chippiness there, but I think it's, again, verbal chippiness more than anything. They're going to get a free kick from here. So we're going to see a large wall from Chicago 10 yards away.
If you're Peru, would you be mad if you didn't get the shutout tonight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a 3-0 lead. They're down 2 people. Yeah, you bet he'll get upset without a shutout.
If you're Chicago, Peru has played pretty much the entire season. The game is pretty much out of reach. Would you want to see the backup just in case Peru gets hurt in a playoff game down the road and you have to use the backup in a tight spot?
Yeah, my opinion, just leave him in. There's no reason to take him out. It's not like he's running around. He's not going to get the hamstring injury. I suppose something could happen on a corner kick in the goal box, but no, if it were me, I would leave him in, absolutely. I would consider putting some bench players in at this point in this game.
One of the substitutions, number 17 for Chicago, looking to check in. That's not Dizdarevich. He's a thief. He stole Jasminko's number. He committed a felony. Checking in will be Alex Olson.
So the referees are going to have to kind of watch the physical contact for the rest of the game because although Detroit doesn't appear to be a dirty team, nonetheless there's been a level of frustration that the referee doesn't want to allow it to bubble up. So he has to control this game. But here we got a free kick, not too far away from the goal box. This is a deadly place on the field.
Wonder why he's taking his time, Bob. They got to score 3 to go back to the round of 8. Tap pass, good one. Shot, loose ball. How did that not go in?
Well, what I really like is the ball was horizontal with the goal line there, and Sutton knew there was nobody else near him and took his time to make the right play, and now Chicago has a break the other way on a counter.
What a fabulous play and setup by Detroit United. Meanwhile, Shevchenko out in front. Chance for Chicago. Capitano, goal! 4-0. The onslaught is on. If it was a fight, they would have stopped it. It's a knockout punch from Capitanos. Hey, Bob, they're not running up the score. He's wide open. He's going to shoot if he's wide open like that.
Well, we've said that. Chicago Nation, they always keep their foot on the gas, even with leads. If the other team can't hang with you, don't hang with us. We're going to beat you. But what I really liked is the way that play started out. Sutton at the goal line was cool as a cucumber, knew the ball wasn't going to go in the net. Nobody was around him to kick it in the net. He didn't panic, and essentially started a counterattack from his goal line that went all the way to this end. Capitano made a great play one-on-one, beat the defender, and then obviously also beat the goalie on the play. Just a terrific shot from Capitanos.
Well, Bob, Mama said there'd be days like this, Mama said, and for Detroit, they're just going to have to work their best to not think about this going into the offseason.
Or think about it and remember it, and they need to go on a mission next year. They clearly have a good soccer team, so next year they come back with this team, maybe a little stronger with one addition somewhere. I don't know which players they need to change out. But, come back next year on a mission just like Chicago Nation is on a mission this year. I mean, like you said, there seems to be a rivalry brewing. Why would they not face each other again next year, one would wonder.
At SBS, we like to do the 3 stars of the match. Bob, who are your 3 stars?
Well, Capitanos for one. Let's say Bradley for sure. In fact, I'd put Bradley number 1. Capitanos maybe number 3, and then on this side, Shevchenko.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is we're picking all the 3 forwards. I mean, Chicago Nation's defense has been terrific. So
they just haven't had to do a lot, though, because the midfielders and forwards have been good at getting the ball back.
Yeah, but Sutton's been steady the whole game on defense. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. So let's put Sutton in there for number 3 instead of Shevchenko this time. So Bradley, Kapitanos, and Sutton. That would be my 3.
I'd go number 1, Alex Bradley. Almost scored twice. What a fabulous tap pass. Kapitanos just wasn't ready for it. It was such a perfect pass. Kapitanos wasn't expecting it. Bradley scored. He was wide on another shot. Second best player of the match, probably Shevchenko, and the third best player, Kapitanos.
And nobody from Detroit, of course, but Gomez was having a great game until he decided to give himself up on a red card.
It's a shame. We had a good match, and then Mikey committed the red card, and that was it.
It's fun for the forwards on Chicago right now because there's less defense they have to get through. So here's an opportunity to score even more, and they're giving it everything they can too. I like this, not going into a defensive shell, no stalling, play it out. It's not Chicago's fault that Detroit's down 2.
Do you think Michael Santa is going to remember this match for years to come?
For life. He'll be a grandfather in the nursing home, and he'll remember this game.
He'll be telling his grandkids.
But I don't think it'll be like, oh, you know, I played bad or we lost that game. He's going to have a terrific soccer career with a good team for, you know, hopefully more years than this. And he's going to remember all of that. I mean, obviously, he's been playing soccer since, you know, kindergarten.
Peru wasn't that great either. That's a great pass, though.
Onside, too.
Breakaway for Kapitanos. Good save by Santa. Kapitanos would have loved to have that one back. All he had to do was tap it over his head for the goal.
Well, and what a fantastic save by the goalie. One-on-one with a lot of space against Kapitanos, of all people, just scored that last goal and one of the 3 players of the game.
And if you're wondering why he had a breakaway, look, Detroit's got to find a way to score a goal. Have some pride, try to score to make it 4-1. Shot by Shevchenko off the post. Good shot.
That was a great left-footed kick with some bend to it off the far post. Couldn't have made it. Well, I guess he could have made a better shot, but not a much better shot.
And some of those shots might be on purpose, partner, where you go to the post and you want to get inside the post so it deflects off and into the back of the net.
Well, you're not aiming for the post, you're aiming for inside.
Right.
But he was aiming around the defender with a left-footed kick with some bend to it. It's a really nice kick.
Right, you're trying to aim for just the edge of the net.
Yeah.
And if it hits the post, it hits the inside of the post and then redirects in.
Right. But that's why it's fun for the offensive players, because there's less defense there. On that breakaway for Kapitanos, he's a speedster. He started out in the middle, and he hit perfectly in stride behind the defense. It was straight across and pushed up, but he had a head of steam that the defense didn't have.
But Detroit's got no choice, partner. I mean, you don't want to go back home being shut out. So they're cheating their midfielders up and forwards up. There's no point now. The game's out of hand. You're down 4-0.
Well,
do your best to score a goal and try to lose 4-1 instead of 4-0.
Well, and you know, you never know. Maybe you get that goal or two and you get a penalty kick or something. I mean, Detroit's giving it everything they got, and it's a credit to their program, their coach, their team.
It just shows you, though, in the game of soccer, sportsmanship is key. And in fact, it might be the most important part of the game. If you just create one mistake, sportsmanship cost Detroit today. 2 men in the sin bin, and they're down 4-0.
Well, and maybe more than that, what cost them was that first goal. Like we talked about right after the national anthem, whoever scores first is going to have just a huge advantage.
Right.
If a goal was scored by Detroit first, I mean, the whole complexion of the game would have been different. Probably neither red card would have happened.
Do you think Shevchenko thinks about those goals he should have had, especially that one that went off the post?
He'll have trouble sleeping tonight over that. I don't know if he'll have trouble sleeping tonight over that. He's had a fantastic game, and sometimes the ball doesn't go in. But, yeah, he'll replay that a few times in his head.
I mean,
but on the field, he did absolutely everything right to make that go in. He kicked it around the defender's right, bent it into the corner, and it just didn't bend enough.
Well, Chicago will have one more match here in Glen Ellen. And if they win that, they go to Virginia. The home match will be on July 22nd. We'll be here, of course. 45 yards away from the goal. Tried to split the defender. Shevchenko, the intended target.
well defended by Detroit. They were anticipating that pass.
I mean, knock on wood, partner, it just feels like Chicago's year. It's going to take an A-plus effort from the opposing team to beat the Chicago Nation team.
Well, that's exactly it. All you can do in this is maximize your odds of winning, and then, go let whatever happens happen. And Chicago Nation is doing a great job maximizing their chances this year. And as we've noticed, their turnovers per game has just gone significantly down since the beginning of the year. Ball possession has been terrific.
Well, don't go anywhere. In fact, go on the live chat. Let us know who you want in the post-game show. If we don't hear from you, we'll pick Alex Bradley. What a move. Foul that time committed by Torres Gonzalez.
Another yellow card coming out.
Oh, boy. That's what I was talking about, Bob. And if Shevchenko was injured on that play, that's one A.J. Ostrowski's going to lose sleep over. You're up 2-0. You're up 3-0. You had all the time in the world to take him out, and now he might have hurt his ankle.
Well, he's holding his knee. If he hurts something, looks like it's his knee. And
oh, boy.
Yeah, that would be worse.
They have a lot of bench players, too. And look, Detroit's not a dirty team, but look, they have nothing to lose. They can play hard on defense because they know their season's over.
Well, Shevchenko made a great move to split the defender.
Right. I mean, it was an ill-advised play. If it was a 1-0 score, he probably wouldn't have slid tackle like that. But down 4-0, down 2 men, you could do whatever you want at that point.
Yeah, and Detroit grabbed his arm and caused him to spin around, and that caused probably the hyperextension on the knee. The way he's getting up, he's going to be fine, but maybe take him out the rest of this game.
Yeah.
Ball.
And look, you can never play scared if you're a coach. You always think about in the NFL, you've clinched the #1 seed, you've clinched the division. Okay, I got to take out my starters, get them ready for the playoffs. Well, you can't take out everybody.
Well, that's why they do it, though. They don't want those injuries to happen for the following week. But then there's the other thought that says leave your starters in so they continue to stay in sync the following week.
And what if your bench player gets hurt? You might need that bench player.
Right.
I mean, Malcolm Butler, that cornerback for the Patriots who made that fabulous catch, he was a bench player to start the year. That's a nice kick out in front. That's kicked out of play. Torres now into the game for Chicago.
Yeah, we got a corner out of it again.
You never know, like, when you're going to need this bench player, when you're going to need this starter. So it's a tough question for the coach. Oh, just put in your bench player. You'll be fine. Well, you don't know how much better the starter is versus the bench player. You as the fan, I mean.
Right.
Hopefully Shevchenko is going to be okay. He has a couple of weeks to get ready for the 22nd. If they don't have him, oh boy.
Well, I kind of pride myself when I watch the play and I see the injury happen. I know what the injury is or not, and I think he's going to be fine. But he definitely, hyperextended his knee on that spin when he got grabbed by the arm. So I think he'll be all right. Just got shaken up and all's well.
Mijatovic over to Lopez. Out in front.
But it's tougher on the turf. Your cleat gets dug in on this turf, and it's cement underneath it, and more injuries happen on this turf than on grass.
Rzuski with it. Are you surprised Sutton's still in the match?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think I would have gone to the bench a little bit more than I think Chicago Nation did. But Sutton's on defense, and frankly, the way this game is going, isn't going to be too tested much more.
If you're wondering, Sergei Wozniak now in the match as Lopez calls for it. 35 yards away from the goal, and Chicago just playing a little monkey in the middle right now.
Well, they're switching fields. They're still trying to score.
Sutton on his left foot, not known for goal scoring, and it showed on that play.
Well, we talked about him, where even though he's a defensive player, he gets involved in the offense a lot. Here's a last break.
Look at that speed.
2-on-1 for Detroit.
Still with it. Left-footed boot out in front, then cleared by Chicago. But what a rush that time by Jordi Lopez.
You got to love his hustle. Never say die. Get one goal, one at a time. Show the coaches you hustle, you're trying. Unfortunately, Detroit ran out of numbers, so when he crossed the ball in the middle, it was an easy defensive play for Chicago Nation. But there was a player if it played through. Some more hustle from Detroit.
Yeah, the gamesmanship is there, not that time.
That's the wrong kind of hustle.
Yellow card-ish, but they're just going to say free kick.
Yeah, he held him and pushed him out of the way. Just a free kick.
Jan Jorge, that was no bueno. If you're a Sueño fan, you're watching this broadcast, do you feel confident going into the fall? Look, we almost beat the Chicago Nation team in the playoffs, and since then, Chicago Nation has dominated the opposition.
Yeah, there is such a slim line between those top teams, Sueño, let's see, Goshen.
Detroit United with Vizloka.
Yeah, Vizloka, and then, of course, Chicago Nation. And you got to be good to come out ahead because, again, in soccer, all you can do is maximize your odds of winning, and bad bounces happen, weird calls happen. But Chicago Nation is able to outlive all these teams now to be in the final 8. But, yes, all those teams are terrific. That whole conference is a tough division to play in.
Over to Chicago Nation in their own territory as I check the live chat.
The good thing about that division, too, though, is with all the good teams, that prepares them for this tournament.
Chicago trying to get back to the national championship. Over to Rozansky, to Klavjan. Klavjan to Rozansky. Shot blocked over the net. The field goal was good, but the goal wasn't.
So we'll get a corner kick out of that since it was deflected.
So in soccer, partner, your number one goal is to score.
Would that not be the case in most sports that have goals?
Well, there's runs in baseball.
Yeah, goals in hockey.
And I forget what are they called in cricket? Widgets?
Yeah, you got me.
Shot.
Is that not the wickets you're talking about?
What?
Is that not the wickets you're talking
about?
The
wicket, yeah.
Oh, there you go. The widgets.
Close, but no cigar.
Yeah. And then let's see, lacrosse would be goals in lacrosse. I guess in football you have field goals.
And then points in tennis.
Yeah, basketball's field goals.
In baseball, you could score a run, but you might not be running on the play.
I don't know. You might be trying too hard on that one.
And then if you're a goalie, your number one goal is to stop the ball.
Or the puck.
Out to midfield.
I like the give and go. An attempt to descend, but that gets tough. It's one player from Detroit against essentially 5 defenders for Chicago. Again, great hustle. The ball just went out of bounds, couldn't get it.
Well, what's the old saying, partner? You win as a team, you lose as a team, but 2 rapscallions for Detroit really cost them a chance today.
Yeah, that's all the dilemma coaches have. You know, yes, you win as a team, you lose as a team, but there is also accountability for plays. Here we go. Another 2-on-1 break. Good
lead
send.
pass. Send it over to Torres. Lopez in front. I don't know, partner. Kind of did a lot with that. He had a shot, and then just a lot of dribbling, and eventually Detroit stole it.
Yeah, it was like kind of a nice little poke check. Oh, kicked out of bounds, really? Why? Oh, because the injury, a very sportsmanlike play. At the same time, Detroit should step away. Just step away.
I'm surprised they haven't called it yet. There's been a lot of pushing.
There's going to be another red card coming here.
That's what I'm saying, partner. When it gets to be a game like this.
It's yellow, I meant. Yeah, you just walk away. Stop trying to be Joe Sportsman to shake his hand. Just walk away.
I'm just saying, like, players get so frustrated, the adrenaline's boiling, that you see plays like that. And as a ref, you have to consider what's happening. Is it still in control? Am I in control of the match? And for A.J. Ostrowski, the head coach for Chicago Nation, knowing it's going to get chippy, and do I want to keep my starters out there for the last 3 minutes? But you can't take everybody out, right? Somebody's got to play, or do you just put all the bench players in?
Well, Detroit doesn't have anybody left on their bench.
Right, well, Detroit doesn't care because their season's over. At this point, you would just put somebody in who hasn't had playing time all year.
I do like what Detroit did there. There's a player from Chicago Nation on the ground. He just punted it out of bounds. Meanwhile, on this side, the Detroit player's trying to say, oops, sorry, I didn't mean it. It wasn't like he was doing anything nefarious, but the Chicago Nation defender wasn't having it.
it's hard when you play a game and your season ends.
I mean, they were dominated today. But one of the reasons they were dominated, they were down 2 men for most of the second half.
Well, it started with that first goal, right? That first goal meant so much again.
Right, they were playing good soccer, though, when they were down 1-0.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the Chicago Nation is simply on a mission.
Played that time as it was kicked to Jokic past the 40-yard line. Now back to the sideline. Played over to Torres Gonzalez. He's got a long last name. Janier Torres Gonzalez. Out to the 30-yard line. As it's now played by Magala. Lopez steals, got in the way of that passing lane. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Lopez with it. Lead kick, chance, no look pass, too many passes, doesn't matter. Goal awarded, Chicago, Emmanuel Lopez. Off the bench, they've scored a handful of goals now.
Yeah, that's what happens when Chicago Nation made the steal. Detroit only had 2 defenders back, so it was an automatic 3-on-2. All Chicago did was look for the open guy, and it was an easy shot into the back of the net. But what I liked about that is there was a lot of patience. I mean, especially when you come off the bench, you want to get a goal and impress everybody.
Yeah.
No, they just kept passing the ball until they found the open guy. Detroit, frankly, was too gassed to run back and send more defenders back there, and it was basically an easy goal. But Chicago Nation continuing to pour it on without running up the score, if there is such a thing as that. Chicago Nation is simply taking what Detroit is giving them.
If you're Detroit, do you think about that you gave up 5 goals, or when you're down 2 men, they don't really count because they're probably going to score anyways because they have a 2-man advantage?
Yeah, I think some nice footwork here and bodying up on the ball. I think of it as you lost by 1 goal, even though it's a 5. It's a nice save at the top of the crossbar there. Going to get a corner kick out of it. So Detroit, that's going to be the end. That's it.
That'll do it for the match.
I think I view it as a 1-0 loss because, like I said earlier, whoever gets that first goal is going to probably win the game or at least have a distinct advantage. Chicago Nation got that first goal. Unfortunately, a bad goal it was, but that set the tone for the rest of the game. And then, yes, then the red card happened and more goals. But I feel like you really lost by that 1 goal. You needed to get the first goal.
Yeah, it was only 1-0 at halftime, 2-0 with Detroit United down a man, then a very ill-advised play by Andres Gomez, and then Chicago scored 3 more goals, up 2 men. They win 5-0, but you're right, Bob. It was really a 1-0 final, and then huge mistakes by Detroit United put him in just an unwinnable position.
Yeah, I feel it was just an abbreviated game, and once you got behind by that 1 goal, that was the team that was going to win, whoever got that goal.
Just the game was over, kind of, when Mikey committed that red card.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to watch, and now Chicago Nation moves on, like you said, to 2 weeks right here again against another worthy team.
They're a quarter of the way there.
Yeah, well, they are.
To the final objective.
Is that the way that works? Quarter of the way there?
Yeah, quarterfinals and the semifinals and the championship.
So 1 of 8 teams remaining.
But if they win it all, are they allowed to play We Are the Champions at the karaoke bar?
They are, and they're allowed to sing that.
Even if they're not good at singing?
Even if they're not good at singing. That's what you do at karaoke bars.
But if you have a couple of adult beverages, nobody knows if you're good or bad at singing.
I don't think anybody's going to care if they are the champions.
Well, they got to win 3 more games, partner, or matches, however you want to slice it.
Yeah, I would be interested, if too bad Las Vegas doesn't put odds on this, but with 8 teams left, Chicago Nation, I got to believe, is a higher than the 12.5% chance of winning.
It'll be here at Glen Ellen on the 22nd, but that does it for our play-by-play broadcast. Coming up next, the post-game show, but for now, we wrap things up. For Kyle Anderson and Bob Vilsaway, I'm Kyle Smith. Post-game show coming up next on SBS, a broadcasting network for everyone.
This SD card's full. Okay. Fine. When did it go? A little while ago. A little while ago? I mean...
That lacked an overall depth and talent, yet was the last premier era of the NBA big man. You had established superstars such as Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Alonzo Mourning. You had the up-and-comers such as Kenyon Martin, Marcus Camby, Ben Wallace, Dirk Nowitzki, Pau Gasol, Tyson Chandler, and Elton Brand. You even had the veteran Hall of Famers on their last leg, such as Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Karl Malone, and Dikembe Mutombo. Truly a golden era of big man in every phrase of the word. And the big man we'll be focused on today would likely fit in the early 2000s up-and-comer bracket, Jermaine O'Neal. Drafted 17th overall straight out of high school in the historic 1996 NBA draft class that featured Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, and Steve Nash. O'Neal became the youngest player to ever play in an NBA game at that time. His career lasted 17 seasons, playing for the Trailblazers, Pacers, Raptors, Heat, Celtics, Suns, and Warriors. After joining the Pacers for the 2000-2001 season, O'Neal's career hit an apex that lasted from the 2001-2002 season to the 06-07 campaign. This stretch included 6 straight All-Star appearances, 3 straight All-NBA teams from 2002 to 2004, he was second team in 2004, and a conference finals appearance in 2004. In an era stuffed with centers and power forwards, who ranged from high-quality starters to Hall of Famers, O'Neal was regarded as one of the best in the league during that time. As impressive as he was during his peak, was it enough for him to be considered for the Basketball Hall of Fame? As good as he was as a Pacer, the rest of his career was average at best and arrestable at worst, pun intended. He started in Portland for the 1996-97 season, where he played the next 4 seasons. These Portland teams made the playoffs each season he was there, and even made the conference finals back-to-back years in 99 and 2000. In 2000, they took the Lakers to 7 games, losing 89-84 in the historic game that featured the iconic Kobe to Shaq alley-oop in the closing minutes of the game. By the way, Portland was up by more than 10 points in the game. It was a very successful run for Portland, a run that O'Neal had little to nothing to do with. During his time with the Trailblazers, O'Neal never averaged over 13.5 minutes per game. His most impactful season came in 1998, where he averaged 4.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 1 block per game. As underwhelming as O'Neal's career was when he was with Portland, it's hard to place a ton of blame on him for his struggles. In a time where selecting a high school player was still considered a taboo move, he was a teenager playing with grown men. The center and forward positions were especially stacked for Portland, in a roster that featured Arvydas Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, Scottie Pippen, Detlef Schrempf, and Brian Grant. Unless they're an instant generational talent, it's extremely hard for a young prospect to get playing time for an NBA team contending for a title. You even see this in today's NBA, with the Golden State Warriors still trying to figure out how to fit their younger prospects into the rotation. Hard to hold Jermaine's first 4 seasons against him. After the Pacers went into a mini rebuild parting ways with veterans Mark Jackson, Rick Smits, Chris Mullin, and head coach Larry Bird, they traded for O'Neal in 2000. He was put into their starting unit and instantly made huge strides, posting career highs in every major statistical category other than field goal percentage, which makes sense because he went from taking 3 to 4 shots per game to 10 plus. He would average 12.8 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 2.8 blocks for the 2000-2001 season. His next 6 seasons would be what defined his stardom, as he would team up with future Hall of Famer Reggie Miller and future Defensive Player of the Year Ron Artest. But with an aging Reggie Miller and the unpredictable personality that was Ron Artest, O'Neal ultimately became the best player and most valuable player for the Pacers during this time. He averaged 20.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 2.4 blocks per game, shooting 40% 45.9% from the field between 2001 to 2007. He also had 39.3 win shares, 25.7 defensive, 13.6 offensive, a plus-minus of 1.7, 1.0 defensive, and 0.8 offensive, and a player efficiency rating of 20.3 in those seasons. To put these stats in context, one player who puts up similar numbers to O'Neal in today's game is Domantas Sabonis. While a much better passer than O'Neal ever was, and not quite the defender, Sabonis has 43.5 win shares, 25.8 offensive and 17.7 defensive, a plus-minus of 2.3, 1.3 offensive and 0.9 defensive, and a player efficiency rating of 19.3. Sabonis just recently finished his 7th season. O'Neal's success on the court translated to the success of the team. The Pacers would win 312 games to 262 games lost and make the playoffs 5 out of 6 possible seasons from 2001 to 2002 to 2006 and 07. His play would get him into 6 straight All-Star games, the 2001 to 2002 Most Improved Player Award, and 3 All-NBA teams. His best season was in 2003 to 2004, where he averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks. He started 78 games that season, made second-team All-NBA, and finished 3rd in MVP voting. The Pacers would go 61-21 that year and make it to the conference finals, where they lost in 6 games to the 2004 NBA champion Detroit Pistons. By 2004, O'Neal was certainly in the conversation with best big men in the league. At that time, that conversation included players like Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Dirk Nowitzki, 4 players with Hall of Fame resumes, if they're not in already. But it would be the 2004-05 season that would define O'Neal's career, and not in the way anyone would have hoped. The Pacers started off the season hot with a 7-2 start, which would have projected them to finish the season 64-18, 3 wins better than the last season of 61-21. Then, in a game against the Pistons on November 19, 2004, it all came to a crashing halt. The Pacers had a commanding 97-82 lead over their division rival in the closing minute of the road game in Detroit. After a hard foul at the rim on Ben Wallace by Ron Artest, an enraged Wallace came after Artest. Wallace had to be held back by teammates and security for multiple minutes, while Artest was moved by the scoring table, where he started to lay down. As Artest lay down on the scoring table, a fan threw a drink at him, which instigated a brawl that caused Artest and teammate Steven Jackson to run into the stands and throw punches at the fan. This incident was ultimately dubbed Malice at the Palace, a notorious brawl that transcended basketball and changed the landscape of the NBA forever. As some fans eventually started to run onto the court, O'Neal punched a man in the jaw who was running at him. He was subsequently charged with assault and battery for his role in the incident and was sentenced to a year of community service. He was initially suspended 25 games for the incident, but an appeal knocked that down to 15 games. Though O'Neal had a limited/non-instigatory role in the Malice at the Palace, it certainly left a black eye on his legacy as an NBA player. Not something that bodes well for a Hall of Fame case. Once O'Neal got back from a suspension in December of 2004, he was never really the same player. On top of the suspension, he had to miss multiple games during that season with a lingering shoulder injury. He finished that season with 44 games played, and the Pacers finished with a 44-38 record. After beating the Celtics in the first round, they were ironically bounced in the semifinals by the Pistons. While O'Neal was able to make the All-Star team for 3 straight seasons following the Malice at the Palace, his play and ability to stay on the floor started to seriously decline. In his final full season with Indiana in 2007-08, he played in 42 games, starting in 34 of them. He averaged 13.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks in just 28.7 minutes per game, all sizable drops for the numbers he put up in his prime. 2007-08 was the first season he would make the All-Star team since 2000-2001, and he wouldn't make any more of them for the rest of his career. He was traded to the Raptors in the offseason of 2008. By the 2008 All-Star break, O'Neal had missed nearly a quarter of the season and had lost his starting spot to up-and-coming center Andre Bargnani. He would be traded to the Heat later that season and would finish his 41 games in Toronto, averaging 13.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. His 2009-10 season in Miami would be his last decent season in terms of his health and productivity. He would play 70 games, averaging 13.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks while playing 28.4 minutes per game. A variety of injuries would further plague him for the rest of his career after that season. He played with the Celtics, Suns, and Warriors up until his final season in 2013-14. From 2010 to 2014, he would play 148 games, 51 games started, posting averages of 7.1 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. For the second half of his career, you could argue O'Neal was nothing more than a role player. Despite the late bloom and sour ending of his career, how did O'Neal compare to the other big man superstars of his generation during his prime? Remember, the Hall of Fame is voted by the sports writers. From 2001 to 2007, the top-tier power forwards and centers were Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki. Here's how O'Neal's stats match up against theirs, as you see the graphic here. From 2002 to 2007, Jermaine O'Neal shot almost 46% from the field, three-point percentage not great at 18.4, and 20.4 points per game, among other notable statistics. Dirk Nowitzki, much better, 24.6 points, 2-point percentage of 49.6, efficient field goal percentage of 51.3. Kevin Garnett, more in points per game, 2-point percentage is better at 50.5, efficient field goal percentage 50.1, free throw percentage much better at 80%. Tim Duncan, 2002 to 2007. Surprisingly, not that much more points per game than Jermaine O'Neal. 21.7 points, 50.8 field goal percentage, efficient field goal percentage of 50.9, total rebounds of 11.8. And Shaquille O'Neal, absolutely dominant. 24.1 points, efficient field goal percentage. This is insane. 58.4, 2.2 blocks, and a field goal percentage of 58.4. How bad was his free throw percentage? Pretty darn bad, 51.5. While each of those player stats are clearly a bit superior to O'Neal's, it's surprising to see how close he comes up to matching up with them. Shaq and Tim Duncan are top 10 players in the history of the NBA, and Dirk and KG are also considered amongst the best this league has ever seen. O'Neal is second in blocks amongst them with 2.4, just under Duncan's 2.5. The big difference between O'Neal and these four players was sustainability and team success. During this window, Shaq won 3 of his 4 NBA titles, 2 with the Lakers, 1 with the Heat. Duncan won 3 of his 5 titles. Dirk and KG would go on to win a title later in their careers. Also, O'Neal's only real case for the Hall of Fame is his 6 All-Star seasons. Shaq had an 8-year prime going into the 2001 season. Duncan won a championship in 1999, and he was able to develop himself into a championship-level contributor even when he passed his prime, making multiple All-Star, All-NBA, and All-Defensive teams when he was 35-plus years old. KG blossomed an All-Star 5 years prior to 2001 and was an All-Star for 5 of his next 6 seasons in Boston after getting traded by Minnesota in the 2007 offseason. Dirk was just entering his prime around the same time O'Neal was and was able to extend it nearly another decade. To be fair, those 4 are some of the greatest to ever play the game. So just because O'Neal's career didn't play out the same as theirs doesn't mean he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Some of the center/power forward Tier 2 and Tier 3 stars during that time were Ben Wallace, Chris Webber, and Elton Brand. Here's how O'Neal's numbers measure against them. Jermaine O'Neal, once again, 20.4 points per game, efficient field percentage. This is where it kind of hurts him. It's only at 46%, so he wasn't that efficient of a player. Blocks, excellent, 2.4, and then fouls per game, 3.5. For Elton Brand, 20.4 points per game, efficient field goal percentage. It's better than Jermaine O'Neal, 51.5. Free throw percentage,